Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Suzanne, what's happening? Good to see you,
Oh, it's
my
good
friend.
to see you.
You look lovely. You look
Thanks.
invigorated.
Thank you. Well, I went to the gym and been eating well. I don't know.
Nice.
Trying to take care of the vessel.
Yesterday was my first day that I didn't work out for a whole month because we
Yeah.
did that Sober October thing.
Yeah.
Worked out every day of the week.
So is that not your norm?
Not usually, but I kind of did it in September to get ready for October to just like get my body conditioned
Right.
to this idea that we're going at it every day.
Mm-hmm. Do you you guys have like a contest of like who burns the most calories
we
or
didn't.
something? Or?
We can't have a contest because we just get too stupid. Because Bert drives me crazy, and then I go psycho.
Okay.
So we've decided no more contests. Because we did a contest that one year, and we went insane. I was doing cardio like 7 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because it was a contest. See,
How did you do? And you did a podcast, and
Yeah.
and you have a family. You just did,
Yeah, I would just get up in the morning and bang out 7 hours of cardio.
What time do you get up?
Then I was getting up at like 7. So it was 7, and I was just going straight. I just have some caffeine and go straight to the gym.
That's impressive.
Well, it was psychotic. We were just
Yeah.
in competition with each other. It was
Yeah.
totally unsustainable.
I don't have that edge of like, I mean, I can power through some stuff. Like I was actually working out on it for a little bit, and I liked it. But after like the 2-hour workout, and then like we didn't stretch, you know, and then I'd like go home and stretch, and I was like, I just didn't have that much time in my day
Yeah.
to dedicate to it. But like, it's impressive that you can just power through your discomfort. If you don't want to go, you still go, right?
Yeah.
I'm not good at that.
No.
No.
That's the key.
I know.
The key is to like not have a way out. And one of the things about this contest thing, this Sober October thing wasn't a contest, but we had to do a 500-calorie workout every day.
That's fucking crazy.
So you had to burn 500 calories, which is, if you do sprints on the Airdyne machine, it takes about 45 minutes to hit 500 calories.
Oh, okay.
So it's 45 minutes of 20-second sprints, 10-second rest. 20-second sprint, 10-second rest.
Jesus.
Yeah. Or you could lift weights, which is way easier, but that's more like an hour and a half-ish.
That's my favorite mode.
Lifting weights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the best results for me too. Like, I hate running, but if something happens in my life and I'm like enraged, I'll just run 5 miles without even blinking. I will just like blackout run because I'm so mad.
Well, running is like one of the best things to alleviate anxiety.
Yeah,
Running, they
okay,
get
I can
that
see
runner's
that.
high. Yeah, you just get that.
Yeah.
Because if you really push really hard, it sort of wrings out all the shit in your body. It's all the fucking tension. It's like
Yeah.
a washcloth just wrings it out.
Did we ever talk about Dr. John Sarno's healing back pain?
Yeah.
There's like some of it is very applicable, and some of it is like, all right, I could probably also have a back problem.
Yeah. I think both of those things are true. Like I heard people talking about it in a very like factual way. Like your
Right.
back pain is all mental. Like no.
Right.
Some people have bulging discs and they push against their nerves and
Yeah.
they have real problems.
Sure. Yeah.
And then some people do have some weird sort of psychological thing where they're like tensed up and their back
yeah.
is fucked up and it's all in their mind.
Well, I've definitely had like in the middle of like an argument with a family member, like all of a sudden my neck just starts locking and it, like down my shoulder blade. It's like a specific area
Yeah.
with a specific familial wound.
Isn't it funny how if you look back on those moments though, like how trivial they really all are?
Oh,
Those
sure.
things that fuck you up and get you tense and
Oh, yeah.
get you mad.
Yeah.
Like in the overall scheme of things.
Yeah. Are you in the contemplate your death once a day and then everything, the whole landscape of your worries?
No. I don't
changes?
do a lot of that. Yeah.
I do that sometimes.
Contemplate your death.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, none of this shit matters then. I mean,
Definitely
really.
most of it doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
just in the moment, it seems like it matters because it's the most pressing thing that's on your mind currently. And, especially if you don't have power over what's happening or something's going on that's beyond your control,
Mm-hmm.
it's overwhelming sometimes. So it becomes your primary focus.
Mm-hmm. I got really good at stuff like that. Well, not really good. I don't want to toot my own horn, but my husband he's a tough guy. and because he's had to be. And he has taught me so much about boundaries, which have been lacking for most of my life.
And setting boundaries for other people?
And for myself as well. But like having this like somewhat of a doormat kind of life, me being the doormat, because I love everybody so much. So I get myself into trouble with, wanting to help, I guess. And then like getting in this like washing machine of dysfunction, with my family or like not the right kind of friend. And I started getting good at like saying, hey, this is where I'm drawing a line. I love you, but this is the line. And my worries have changed in my dedication to that, which was really hard, because you don't want to. I don't want to let people down.
How many people are you having to let down?
Quite a few.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you're very nice. That's probably part of the problem. If you're very nice, one of the things that happens is people use you as their solution.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is not fun.
And I want to help because I know a lot of stuff and I want to share it. And then they get mad at you still. Like you kind of become like this mother figure thing. But I'm learning about myself too and what that means for me and my ego and like it's very humbling. But I've kind of got like a pit bull for a husband who helps, defend me against those poor choices.
Well, that's good though. You got someone
nice.
looking out for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's important in life. And sometimes you see the way people live their life and you're like, well, I got to get more of that in me. Like, well, how do I do more of that? And like, if you live with the person, it's like if it's your husband, like it's easier to model. Yeah. It's like, yeah, he does it. I'm going to fucking do that too. Look, he's right. Look at there you go.
Yeah.
And then it's like.
Well, we balance each other out in that way. Like I soften him up a little bit and he toughens me up. And it's nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the yin and yang of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It's nice. It's nice when it works out. It sucks when people are too yins or too yangs and just fucking, or they accentuate each other's mental illness.
Oh, my God.
That's
fucking A.
A lot of relationships.
It really is.
Yeah.
Every day is like the dedication is balance. Like is, whether we're up against our own discord or the world, like you could pick up your phone, right? And just be like set off in seconds.
Yep.
Into some labyrinth of someone else's thoughts or agenda.
Easily.
And I'm just so over it. I'm
Yeah.
so over it.
And then you have to come to the realization that some people never fix any problems. They just have new ones.
Oh, absolutely.
And those people, that's like, this is like a fundamental error in the way they approach life. And your help is not going to fix that.
I think that's the same people that are still obsessed with COVID. They moved it to something else. And then they moved it to COVID, which was like this undeniable wet blanket of escapism. Because you could you could all get mad and then blame it on other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking over that too.
Yeah.
I'm so over it.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing even people that were like hardcore vaccine advocates that are now saying if they had known that it didn't stop transmission, it didn't stop infection, and it only lasted X amount of months, they wouldn't have done it.
Sure.
And that they really weren't at the same risk level that they thought they were at when all that shit was being forced on people. Now the CDC's recommending it for kids.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Putting as far as like the kids' vaccine schedule.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's because that's that liability thing. Do you know about that? Like the reason that they got that approval is so it like covers their asses for some long game liability if there's side effects to it. I'm kind of butchering that, but there's some legalized upside to them making it a a recommended vaccine for children, along with polio or tetanus. It's really fucked up. Where was I listening to that? I think it was No Agenda. Yeah.
That sounds like No Agenda. Sounds like.
But I just
Adam
butchered it, so
about.
Sorry, guys.
Adam's the man.
Yeah, they're both great.
Yeah, I love that dude. It's probably part of it. There's probably some sort of legal reason why they're doing it.
I'm just I think it's interesting, now that there's this amnesty thing with COVID, like trying to just be like, let's just all say we're sorry. And,
Yeah.
you know, like people had to watch their dying loved ones pass on their iPhones and shit. And like, I'm not like, I don't know. I was already over it. Like my industry, like I'm not vaccinated. So I got, you know, I lost tours. I had like a good deal of momentum that was taken out of my last record, which really sucked. But I'm really glad I made the choice I did. And, you know, nobody's like knocking on my door to apologize or anything. Not that I need it.
Well,
It's
it was just a weird time.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many people that had such a high level of anxiety already. And then COVID came along, and that was just overwhelming for them to deal with this existential threat
Sure.
that you can't control, that's everywhere, and it's invisible. I mean, it had all the elements that you needed to really freak people out that were already afraid. And some people just aren't that resilient.
No, they're not. You really can see that now.
Yeah.
I feel like I lost a lot of good guys out there.
Not really. I don't think you did.
but
The
they're-
people that you lost from that, it's like, you know, come on.
Well, you know, at this point, I'm amazed at the like snowball of you know, fear and the way people were so easily controlled. And then you throw in your like freedom of speech, and now you can't say it, you can't talk about it, you can't talk about this, or this without people going nuclear on you and like getting a whole gang of maniacs who disagree. It's like, why can't you just disagree?
Yeah.
You know, like it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty, you know, Orwellian, and also I've been reading a lot of Greek mythology lately, and it's just like a Greek tragedy, you know, like the madness of the gods, you know, and then like, you know, COVID kind of became this god that made people nuts, you know, this like invisible
Like a
force.
curse.
Yeah, that you know, created a cult following.
It also exposed a serious problem that people have with their own personal health. So many people
Absolutely.
just don't take care of themselves. And those are the people that were the most stressed out because they had the most to lose. They were the most at fear
Sure.
because they've been spending so much time eating shitty food and living a sedentary lifestyle with a very vulnerable immune system. So something came along like this, and they wanted everyone to protect them.
Right.
You know, and that's part of what it was. It's like, you're going to get me fucked up. You know, it's like that was the threat. People like, wear your fucking mask, like all that shit.
It's really strange. Like people I've known for years and years and years, like lost their fucking minds.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It is.
Suffering.
It's good to know who can keep it together.
Right.
It's good. I appreciate those moments of clarity
Yeah.
because you know, and it's also good to see people lose their fucking minds and then regain them and go, yeah, you know, I was a little out of line there.
Sure.
You know, and just realize that.
Oh
they
yeah. Well,
got
good.
caught
Be
up in it.
accountable. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way through. The other stuff I cannot hang with.
I just wish people would like recognize, like en masse, that this is a real issue with personal health, and you should take care of yourself. You should exercise regularly. You should take vitamins. You should eat well, eat good food.
Well, there's a
drink
whole,
water.
you know, there's a whole agenda, you know, anti-health. Like if you're if you go to the gym and you're into eating well or eating carnivore, you must be a racist Republican. You know, like there's a whole
Is there
identity
really?
attached to it. Yeah.
If you work out, you must be a Republican.
Yeah, there's all kinds of like it's this.
Seems silly.
Oh, it's very silly.
It's just an
Very
excuse
silly.
for not taking.
You got to
care
let
of
yourself go
Oh, you should.
in order to prove your, you know, your dedication to doing the right thing.
How does that make any sense? I get the whole body positivity thing. Like, you should be happy with your body. Yeah, you should be happy, but you also should take care of yourself. It's like better. It's like fundamentally better, undeniably better.
Sure.
Take care of yourself. You're more resilient.
Yeah.
And if you did take care of yourself and you went into this thing healthy, you were less threatened.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
That's something we found out. It's like that probably applies to most things, kids. You know? Except like the Spanish.
Absolutely. Well, and just, yeah, your overall mental health.
I think Spanish
from-
flu was actually worse if you were healthy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. The Spanish
I don't know
flu was a
about
weird one.
that.
I think the Spanish flu primarily attacked people that were young. Like, it did something to your immune system. Like, if your immune system was young and strong, like, it actually fought against your immune system. We got lucky with this one. This one was lucky because it actually favored people that were healthy, and including children. Favored people that were young and resilient, and it really fucked people up that were overweight more than anything. People that were fat. There was a thing about COVID, the way it interacts with fat. It actually replicates in fat. So, like, people with fat got a higher dose. It was
really?
a higher viral load. Figure out what that was, Jamie. Like, something about being obese uniquely targeted people for COVID. It's something about this particular virus, the way it affected obese people, which is like 78% at one point in time of the people in the ICU, they were obese.
Right.
Which is wild.
Right.
But yet, we live in this world where you're not supposed to talk about people being fat as being a real problem.
Right.
And you're supposed to, not fat shame people. It's like,
Well, some of that isn't.
here it is.
I want to say, okay.
SARS-CoV-2 infects fat tissue and creates inflammatory storm cloud. Stanford medicine scientists finding could explain why obese people have a higher risk of SARS-CoV-2 infections and are more likely to progress to severe disease and die of infection. So it shows that SARS-CoV-2 can infect human fat tissue. This phenomenon was seen in laboratory experiments conducted on fat tissue excised from patients undergoing bariatric and cardiac surgeries and later infected in a laboratory dish with SARS-CoV-2. It was further confirmed in autopsy samples from deceased COVID-19 patients. Obesity is an established independent risk factor for SARS-CoV-2 infection as well as for patients' progression, once infected, to severe disease and death. Reasons offered for this increased vulnerability range from impaired breathing resulting from the pressure of extra weight to altered immune responsiveness in obese people, but the new study provides a more direct reason. SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, can directly infect adipose tissue, which most refers to as just plain fat. That, in turn, cooks up a cycle of viral replication within resident fat cells or adipocytes that cause profound inflammation in immune cells that hang out in fat tissue. The inflammation converts even uninfected bystander cells within the tissue into an inflammatory state. With 2 out of every 3 American adults overweight and more out of 4 in 10 of them obese, this is a potential cause for concern. Durr.
I feel like, well, first of all, that's
Wild.
fucking wild. But, I'm always amazed at those photos of like people in line for a concert in the 90s or, and then like juxtaposed next to something this past year.
Yeah.
Harry Styles, I don't know. And there's a distinct difference in body type. And people are still eating the same junk food now that we were then. Like, we still ate fast food then. We had all kinds of, sugar and things in our diet and sweets. But I'm really interested in what's in our processed food. Like seed oils and things like that.
We've been harping on that ad nauseum on the podcast.
Yeah, well,
lately.
then let's move on.
No, it's okay.
But it's a new thing in my life. So, I love Ways to Well. I freaking,
Yeah, they're great.
They've been life-changing. It's the best medical care I've ever had. Like, since I was a kid and I had our, local doctor in Ohio.
Did you do, like, a deep blood work panel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've just... I did a food intolerance test and I learned all these things, but like canola oil was like a hugely irritating thing because I always have fucking stomach aches.
It's irritating for everybody.
Right. But it's in everything and it has all these different names.
Yeah.
But like the, sunflower oil and rapeseed oil, like all that shit. Like rapeseed oil is like one step away from shit we put in our cars.
It was
It's crazy.
originally invented as industrial lubricants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then decided to feed it to people.
Right. So no thanks. And I'm just fascinated by that stuff because like I go through these phases where like if I'm on the road or something, like I'll start breaking out and like I'm getting acne like I'm a teenager. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's just whatever food I'm eating, my body doesn't like it. But recently Nick and I did carnivore for a while and oh my God, I've never felt better.
Yeah, you cut out all that shit.
I felt so good.
But if you cut out all that shit and then eat salads with olive oil and balsamic vinaigrette, you'll feel great.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people eat salads and they think they're doing well, and they pour fucking seed oil all
Right,
over it.
right.
That shit's terrible
Yeah,
for you.
all the
Whenever you
stuff
do
in
that,
there.
I had a salad the other day, and I was like, I know I'm going to hate this because I know they probably put some whack-ass dressing in it. And then after I ate it, I was like, yup, there it is. There's
Yeah.
that discomfort feeling.
Oh yeah.
I wanted
that's
a
all it
salad,
takes.
and I ate poison.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I don't like being knocked off course. Like, I've just too much I want to do. So, then I was looking at like peanut butters. Believe it or not, Smucker's natural peanut butter is the only one I could find that had just peanuts and that's it.
Yeah?
I know you're not supposed, like, peanuts aren't the best for you, but when
They're not, I don't think they're
when I
bad
need some
for you if you
protein.
don't have a peanut allergy. Are they bad for you?
There's better nuts, but
Yeah.
I ways to well learned a few of those are not super good for me. Almonds
So-
and we don't get along.
Almonds you don't get along with.
Nah, it's
Really?
a bummer. I know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Supposedly, if I lay off this stuff, also eggs was a big one for me.
Eggs?
And I was eating like 5 eggs every morning after the gym, but my stomach always hurt. So
Wow, so you have an allergy to eggs?
it's not quite an allergy; it's an intolerance. Like, they have this IgG scale that they run 200 or 300 different. The test I did, different foods against your blood, like my blood, not just my blood type, and they can show me what clashes. Garlic was one of them, and I'd rather run my face into a wall because I'm Italian and I love that shit. I was mad when I was like, garlic, what the? Oh! Like, come on! And I was like, I won't give. I'll quit the pastel cartel vape, but I will not quit my garlic. But yeah, but it's been interesting to cut it all out and feel really good. But supposedly, like, you can cut it out for like 3 months and then maybe reintroduce it and see what happens.
Well, that's the elimination diet thing.
Right.
And that's the whole reason why carnivore works for people. Because you're basically breaking it down to just meat.
Yeah, meats were all greens for me. I
Yeah.
had no problems.
Yeah.
So I go to Hudson Meats near our house, and it's all local, and it's fucking delicious. All the sausage and steaks, and it's just like, it's right there in the fridge. Just throw it in a pan.
There's a lot of cool shit in Austin where you can find like local places where, like, this is from a farm outside of Bastrop. This is where they raise their steers. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, great.
Yeah.
You like buy it from the people that actually made it.
Yeah.
It's not getting shipped from Argentina or
Right.
something, you know?
It's beautiful out there. Have you ever been out there?
Bastrop or Argentina?
Bastrop.
Yeah, I have. It is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about someone said something about keep Austin weird and surrounded. And the idea of Austin being surrounded by real Texas, I think really
okay.
weighs on Austin because there's a lot of freaks here.
For sure.
They have a lot of Beto signs.
Oh, yeah.
You drive
Yeah.
around in East Austin,
Quite
you
a
see
few.
fucking
I'm just so amazed that people are supporting someone who's never been elected for anything.
and he's silly.
And he's like a bandwagon for whatever is
Yeah.
trending. Like, get your fucking head together.
He's a politician.
Oh, it's just so rough.
He's a guy who's like doing open mics. That's what he's like. He's like never really done the job, but he's out there doing those open mics and doing it like an open micer. He's like an amateur. Like the way he does politics, it's like so fucking
Well, they're all
contrived.
like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so, it's a shit show. And it's really hard. Like, I just have to turn it off. I try to be as informed as I possibly can, but like watching this stuff is so crazy. Like the Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi thing is just like, oh my God.
Have they sorted out what happened yet?
Well,
It's all these conspiracy theories that he knew the guy and the guy was in his house 'cause
Yeah.
he was his lover. There's all these.
weren't they in their underwear?
Well, one of them was in their underwear.
Right.
Were they both in their underwear?
Well, what I had heard, see, I can't like speak factually on this, but what I'd heard is that there were,
You interrupting, Jamie? You
No,
know
I was
something?
waiting. I was just going to wait. But this morning they said there's video that the Capitol Police saw of him breaking in. Like, they have it on video.
oh,
So
okay,
the guy
well then-
did break into the house.
Yeah.
So
They haven't shown it yet, I guess, but it is on video somewhere.
so it's not his friend.
I don't believe so. I think that he just maybe said that when, like, it was overheard on the 911
Well,
call.
either way, like whatever that is, like the way that the news is presented, the way that they talk about this, and then they try to thread in all the other things that are part of their case against, like, Democrats against Republicans, Republicans against Democrats. Like, they all, like, no one can just talk about one thing. You have to have this whole word soup of your stance in the world, and you got to be on this side or that side. And
well, it's because we're so close to the midterms.
I know, it's so annoying.
It's a week away.
I know.
You know, so everybody's freaking out.
I know.
Everybody's freaking out. People are mad at me because I said it's going to be a red wave, like the elevator doors open up on The Shining. And they're mad. I'm like, I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying this is what I see. Like, you got to recognize what's happening, folks. People are getting sick with this woke ideology getting crammed down everybody's fucking throats.
It's the worst.
And if you don't think that's the case, you're probably on that. You're on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
If you don't think there's something really wild going on.
What's sad is that I used to really be so scared to talk about this stuff. And, like, now I'm at this point where, like, I got nothing to lose. I mean, like, I don't it's just like having logical conversations around this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings are not facts. Like, they're not. And the way that you know, people are running rampant with their emotions and ruining their lives as well as others, you know, is so dangerous. And I really want to be able to have conversations and also be wrong and be, like, scientifically told that I'm incorrect, you know, around all of this stuff. But it's so sad. I mean, people are so angry and you know, yeah, it's just social contagions and mental illness.
It'd be really weird if we find out this was engineered. It'd be really weird if we find out that foreign countries have been infecting
I'm
social
sure
media.
it is. I mean, like, think about it. Like, think about how wrapped up, how easy it is to get wrapped up and not be exactly sure what thoughts are your own from looking at your fucking phone.
Yeah.
You know?
And to have a group of people that you identify with that have a very specific ideology that they support. And if you're on that side, you must support that ideology.
Right.
So when certain things come up, you just say, yes, this is what I'm supposed to say. And you haven't thought about it. And then quietly, when people are alone, they go, well, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cult.
Yeah,
that's a cult.
It is a cult. It's very similar to a cult.
Yeah.
It's very similar to a lot of, you know, mental contagions, because that does happen with people. That's, you know, we're a fucking very strange species. We're very easily influenced and malleable, and we're also, like, very hard lined. And, like, when we believe something, we want other people to believe it. We want to win that argument. Win that argument that my idea is the best idea.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I just want to have a good time. Like, I just want to, like, I want to give love, receive love, enjoy my life experience. If there's hard conversations that need to be had, I am not the most intelligent person in the room. So I'm going to learn and I'm going to listen. But, you know, in my own personal life experience, I can speak eloquently and, you know, powerfully on my own side of the street. But with this stuff, like, that's where, like, I love reading James Lindsay and Douglas Murray and Gad Saad. Like, they're so brilliant. And
Logical intellectuals.
Logical, critical thinking.
Yeah.
And that's where I get, like, my, you know, refreshing wave of confidence with this stuff.
Have you been paying attention to Twitter, how Twitter's now fact-checking all Biden statements?
Good.
So every time Biden says something and posts it on Twitter, Twitter's like, nope, actually that's not true. Like, this is inaccurate.
But they're doing it for everybody too.
Yeah.
It's not just him. Like,
Yeah.
which is fair. Let's keep
Which
it
is what
fair.
it should be.
But what I cannot understand is people being like, I'm leaving Twitter because without censorship, this will be the death of democracy. Are you fucking serious? Like, how dumb.
It's
But
wild.
here we are.
But it's also a thing you're supposed to say. I'm leaving Twitter because Elon Musk is evil. And then, like, yay. He said the right thing.
Yeah.
Look, having him run Twitter, I think, is going to be great. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Twitter's
to
funny
see.
again.
Yeah.
There's like all these great jokes.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting fucking banned for cracking jokes anymore.
Yeah, it's, oh boy. Oh, what good fun.
It's just nice to have a guy who's like a tech billionaire who has an opposing perspective and is a free speech hardliner. 'Cause I think that's important.
Yeah.
And the fact that he, literally put his money where his mouth is and purchased the biggest social media platform in the world.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking wild.
Well, there's some sort of saving grace with this like anti-cancel culture thing that's happening. Like, sure, fact check, that's great, but give people room to fuck up. Give people room to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, and let me just apologize, and I'll do better. I'll try better next time."
Human beings are very messy, and depending upon who you are a different person every day. Every day you're slightly different. Every day.
Yesterday I was Dolly Parton.
Are you?
I wish.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Jolie,
I've downsized.
Jolie. That lady, she's one of the few people that everybody loves.
Oh my God, you should get her on the podcast.
I would love to.
That
have
would be
her on the
amazing.
podcast. She's so loved,
I know.
like universally loved.
Yeah.
Like no matter what.
Yeah.
She's like one of those people like Willie Nelson. Like, you can't hear a bad word about Willie Nelson.
No, you can't. Oh God, I got to see him last year. Oh no, this year. I played the Luck reunion at Willie's Ranch, and I got to see him play. And it was just I hadn't seen him in like 10 years, and it's just. It's so special, and he's up there, so you want to get as much Willie Nelson time as you can.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
while he's still
while
around.
he's still playing.
Yeah, I mean he's 90 now, right?
I think so.
It's just incredible.
Maybe older. Yeah.
He's 10 years older than Biden.
Wow. I guess Biden should start smoking weed.
I think Biden's dealing with the presidential stress, which just wears you out like 15 times more than normal stress. Oh, poor guy.
I think they're all on drugs.
Oh, he's definitely on drugs.
Like there's just, oh my God.
Yeah, he's got IV marks on his hands. Someone was pointing that out. They're giving him
Right.
IVs.
Sure.
But that's probably vitamins and stuff, just to try to keep him as robust
I
as possible.
I just prefer to learn about Joe Biden through Kyle Dunnigan, and then that's like my only way to know what's going on, because half the jokes he's saying are actual things that Joe Biden said, and then you're just
Yes.
like it's more digestible coming from Kyle Dunnigan because it's funny.
Did you see Kyle Dunnigan had Tucker Carlson interview Kanye West?
No, what? I'm gonna need to see that. That's so good.
Pull it up. Pull it up, Jamie. Kyle Dunnigan's him and Kurt Metzger, they're fucking national treasures together. Those guys, like those fucking sketches that they do. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's the face swap too. Here
It's oh my God. Oh Jesus.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson. Today I sat down with Kanye West. Oh, Kanye West, don't sit down with him. He's a scary. That's what the left wants you to think. He didn't seem crazy to me. Seemed like an okay guy. Take a look. Thank you for being here, Yee. First question. You said Pete Davidson has a 10-inch penis. Is that true?
Yes.
Who else knew about this whopping dong?
Every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to, my so-called friends.
Your hat says 2023. Is that the year you think it is?
Yes.
Along with leather jogging pants, you created a White Lives Matter shirt. I can hear people saying, well, of course, White Lives Matter. We don't get shot by the cops. But we do get shot by the cops. Don't we?
Yes.
I'm going to start a rap, and then you finish it. Johnny went to the country club.
When my mom, when
That was fun.
mostly
Where's the best Starbucks?
in Delaware.
I think your message is quite nice. White lives do matter, except for Pete Davidson's.
It was funny.
Thank you for being here. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson.
He's so good at the cadence of the inflections. And,
Yeah.
Oh man, what a
It's amazing.
what a joy.
Well, we need fucking comedy right now. That's for damn sure. We need a little bit of a break, and it's one of the more incredible things about the internet is the memes. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, just some of the Paul Pelosi memes have been fucking hilarious.
There's some really good stuff out there.
Oh my God, everyone! That's the thing about there's so many there's so many different creative people out there that they can get their stuff out there. Just a meme.
Yeah.
There's a thought, and everybody spreads it around. It's funny. It's like gives you a little break,
Yeah.
and it gets you to see how most people are actually seeing multiple sides to different stories.
Yes, that's the best part.
Yeah.
If it's kind of one-sided and it's just like I get where your trajectory is at, sure, but this shit is so good.
Yeah.
He covers he makes fun of everybody.
Everybody
the
everybody
best.
gets it. Bill
Yeah.
Maher gets it. Everybody gets it. Caitlyn
Yeah.
Jenner gets it. They all get it. Joe Biden gets it. Everyone gets it. You're all gonna get those jokes.
Oh, I can't. Let's see.
You can't?
I was just like, it's that one with it's like really early on with that female comic who I met backstage with you months ago, blonde. Oh man,
Where was it?
it was here in Austin, and oh god, sorry, her name is escaping me, but she did a couple Kyle Dunnigan videos, and she plays his daughter.
Oh, Annie Letterman.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's really funny.
Yeah, she's very funny. She does that
When
thing
he does
where
Caddy Daddy.
Caddy
Yeah.
Daddy, yeah.
And he's like, what does he say? Oh my god, I can't do it because it's so like. She's like, Dad, I'm like I've got a problem, and he's like, oh, did you inherit your mother's ugly pussy? It sounds so terrible. She's like, no, I've got a cold or whatever. I can't remember. I'm totally paraphrasing.
And he keeps taking the glasses
He
off
keeps
and
saying-
throwing them down
He's
whenever
so
he makes a point.
Caddy Daddy. Oh, I'm gonna regret saying that later.
Well, those guys are doing some of the best comedy available online. I mean, that's what's interesting about independent stuff like that. Like, have you seen any Gillian Keeves? That's my friend Shane Gillis and his buddy. They do these sketches, and they did one was Trump speed dating.
Okay.
It's fucking amazing, but it's the
Great.
same thing. It's like they're independent,
Right.
So because they're independent, they can do stuff like this Tucker Carlson thing
Right.
or like that thing,
Right.
And no one's telling them don't do it. Like Kyle Dunnigan had a special. He had a show that he was going to do on Comedy Central, and
Oh, really?
Yes, with
Oh.
the face swaps. And they were like, no, you can't do this.
It's
no,
too
you can't do this. He
controversial?
had one where Caitlyn Jenner was fucking Donald Trump. She was riding Donald Trump. It was
that a little too racy?
hilarious. It was so funny. He gave it to me. He showed it to me in the green room of the Comedy Store. I was crying, laughing. He's like, Comedy Central said no to this. I'm like, oh my God, they're suicidal.
Yeah.
They have a death wish.
Well, TV's not really funny anymore. Give or take a few things, but
South
like
Park.
we are always watching old shit. Love News Radio. That's on in our house quite a bit. We're watching 80s and 90s movies, like old Eddie Murphy movies,
Yeah.
and like we like Archer. That's great, but there's not, like, comedically speaking, there's not a ton of stuff that's out right now, other than Nathan Fielder's pretty good. I like his stuff on HBO. But, like, I mean, remember when TV was funny all the
it's
time?
Most of those subjects that were taboo or risque are now banned.
Right.
You can't discuss those things.
Correct.
It's going to bounce back the other way. There's always like a crazy cultural shift, and people realize that they've made errors. I mean, that was the Red Scare during the communist days.
Sure,
and
sure.
There's always like a time where everyone's like, and then everyone's like, oh my God, what were we doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck were we doing? And hopefully there's going to be
Hopefully we're
that.
at that point where that
Yeah.
question is happening, because
I think we are. I think
because
we are
I
for
want
the most part.
I want better TV.
Yeah, that's going to be fucked. TV's going to be fucked, but it'll pick up on streamers. Like Netflix will have more options, and Amazon and places like that.
Yeah, but that's kind of the problem too, in that way that, like, the same thing that happened to the music industry is happening to the TV industry, because everything's streamed and it's basically free. So the quality is, movies too. Like, what the hell were we watching recently? Where I was like, how much money did they spend making this piece of garbage?
Yeah.
Pretty much all of the TV we watch is like that, for the most part. What was it?
There's still good stuff out there.
Oh my God. Tom, what's his name? Another like Bang Bang Shoot 'em Up. It came out last year.
The Gray Man?
No, that was terrible too. I thought that was so bad.
You know why it's terrible? It's not the same as the books. If you read the Gray Man books are hardcore.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Super hyper violent.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's all about a CIA assassin.
I think the thing that I struggle with is like wanting, like, I just don't believe it. Like, I don't believe that physical body type is doing that thing. Like, I see where the like sleight of hand is taking place. Call me a cynic, but what's happened to me?
Probably just being logical. Yeah, but you know, you have to have that diffusion of what is that term? You know, when you just give in to whatever the show is. You just give in to it. What's that term? God damn it. You know that term. God, my brain is shit today. One day of drinking, my brain falls apart.
You're going to be okay. Well, you know what you're supposed to do.
Keep drinking. That's what they say. Want a cocktail?
Absolutely. But you know what? I just remembered another funny show, The Righteous Gemstones.
What's that?
Hilarious. Danny McBride's show on
Oh,
HBO.
really? Oh, I
my
love that dude.
God, about the like mega church.
Oh.
With it is so funny. I mean, it is brutally gross in like speech, but it's quick, it's funny. Danny
McBride. And
I highly
John
recommend
Goodman.
it. Yeah. Oh, I love John Goodman.
Nice.
He's one of those like bucket list people I'd love to meet that I hope
Goodman?
is as cool in person as he
Yeah, it would
seems
suck
to
if
be.
he wasn't.
I know.
Yeah, there's still good stuff out there.
Yeah,
You
I don't
can
want to.
still
I don't
make
want to
good
be such
stuff.
a naysayer. And there's more to discover, I'm sure. But I've really enjoyed like these. Like we've been watching all these '90s movies, like The Last of the Mohicans, and we went through The Fugitive, The Firm, a couple of other Tom Cruise movies.
You're
But
going
it's-
all old school.
Yeah, it's great. I just like the acting was better, the storylines were better for the most part. Unless you're doing an action film like Point Break or something. Like I was amazed at how bad that was. Like, why are you going to jump out of the airplane with the guys that you know want to kill you and they packed your parachute, but you're getting in there anyway?
I don't even remember that movie very
Johnny
well.
Utah. What do you mean? He's the man.
I know, but still, like, there were so many holes in the end of that movie that I was like, you know, I kept watching it. It was, you know, it was fun. It was entertaining. But wouldn't you like want to tie up some of those holes in that like blockbuster of a film that you're putting all this money into? Just make the storyline like a tad bit better. It's
They
not that
don't
hard.
give a fuck.
They don't
Fast
care.
and Furious 9. Did you see
That's
Fast
true.
and Furious 9
Yeah,
when
I
they
love
went
that
into
shit.
space? They have a car in space. Like this, that movie's
Oh, I'm
made
aware.
like $1 billion.
I'm aware. But you know what you're signing up for with that stuff too. Like you're like, I'm gonna get stoned and watch this and enjoy it, and my mind's not gonna be blown other than by the special effects.
Right.
Everything else, you know, is.
But that's the thing. If you watch in any kind of action movie, like the thing that bothers you is like the thing that you have to kind of.
I don't know.
accept.
Maverick really touched my heart.
I did it.
Yeah.
I made it 15 minutes.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. I can't do this.
But like, Tom Cruise is actually flying those planes.
I know.
Didn't
Which is
do
pretty
it for you.
wild.
We have to talk about this. I think you have to give it another try.
No.
Come on, man.
No. Suspension of disbelief. That's what I was
Okay.
looking for.
Okay.
Suspension of
You
disbelief.
stick with your terminal list.
I like that. Well, I like the books. The books are great.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't
that's
read
why I
them,
like
so
the,
I don't
the
know.
series.
Okay.
And I like Chris Pratt.
I like him too. I like him a lot.
And my friend Jack Carr wrote it all.
Okay. Oh, that's super cool.
See those tomahawks on the wall? That's
Yeah.
the cross tomahawks.
Okay.
That's the terminal list.
Oh, I did know
tomahawks.
that was a Jack Carr book.
Yeah.
There's another one of his that I really want to read. Do you read all his books?
Yeah, they're all about James Reese. So
Right.
there's the terminal list is the first one. and,
Right.
like, what are the names of the other ones? I think he's on book 5 now. But yeah.
So the books are better?
Oh, the books are fucking
Yeah.
great. Yeah, here it goes. So, Terminalist, True Believer, In the Blood, Savage Son, The Devil's Hand.
I think it's
And
The Devil's Hand.
I think that's what he's got out now, and then he's working on number 5.
I think I'm due for some good fiction.
They're good.
I've been getting into all this heady stuff lately, and I need to calm the fuck down.
Well, that's not that heady, but it's very violent.
Yeah. Well,
But, it's written by an actual Navy SEAL.
correct.
who really
Right.
did experience combat duty, and
Yeah.
like it's as close to reality as you can get in fiction
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like obviously the good guy wins. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of reality interlaced into it in terms of like how things actually run, and
Wow.
yeah.
Man, it's, Nick and I were talking about this the other day, like in conjunction with Navy SEALs and highly trained operatives and, lethal weapons among us. Like, think about all the former spies that like the gray man, like have aged out of their profession, but are still among us that could like kill you with their fingertips. There's got to be a lot at this point.
There's probably a few.
Hanging out, your neighbor, trying to have a quiet life.
That's that movie or that TV show, The Old Man.
Oh, not the
Jeff
gray man,
Bridges?
the old man. That's what I
Yeah.
meant.
Oh, The Old Man's good.
Oh, I was talking about the old man. Oh, the gray man was the one with
The gray man is that Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds? I always fuck
Gosling.
him up. I always confuse those two.
Oh yeah, one of the
Yeah.
the men, the old man. And aren't they kind of synonymous at this point? Old and gray.
But Ryan Gosling's not old.
No, he's not. I was just joking.
The old man is the Jeff Bridges
That's the one I was talking
Yeah.
about.
That's really good for a few episodes.
Right, and then
it's
it
kinda
just
like-
drones on.
It gets to the point where you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh yeah.
How is he getting away? What is going on? How's he driving all the way across
Well, and then the
country? Nobody
storyline of
catches
like
him?
dedicating his love to this woman who's terrible to him.
Well, he's terrible to her too.
Yeah, but it just,
I mean, he dragged her and kidnapped her and
once again, like a Greek tragedy. Bringing it back.
But in the beginning, like the first episode or two, I was like, holy shit, this show's great. But
Same. We were into it for a couple episodes, and then it just.
yeah, it got heavy with the dialogue, where they're explaining things with dialogue. Like, you're losing me here. Did you guys get new writers?
Ran out of money. Probably. It's amazing how they make shows. Like,
Yeah.
people get fired halfway through. They bring people on. They reshoot and like jump around and.
Executives come in, they want to change things.
Oh yeah,
That's why a lot of things get made really poorly.
absolutely.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, there's someone else you should talk to about that. I mean, Nick would just give you the
Yeah.
whole thing. I mean,
No, I'm sure he would. I mean, I've gotten some of it out of him, but it's just, yeah, it's very difficult to get like one creative vision and have that be the thing that gets put out there.
well, you have to. I mean, every show, every project, every production company is different, and so. Like, it's hard to get, just like in music sometimes, like, it's hard to get the right people without an ego that, like, just want to make something fucking awesome. But that's not the case most of the time. And
Yeah.
now, especially, like, our industries I mean, what a big fat disappointment in, like, having to make a show, but, like, you got to make sure you check all these political boxes so that you, manipulate a storyline, instead of just like telling a good story. Like, there's
Right.
just all kinds of insertions of agenda and that just takes away from like watching a good movie or a good
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, they just feel like they have to include adversity or diversity, and certain groups have to be represented, and it's not what a story is supposed to be about. You should have as many stories from as many different perspectives as possible, but that doesn't mean you should fuck with someone's idea just because you want to add in
Right,
like a
right.
gay character or
Sure.
a black woman character or an Asian character. It's like that
Well, it's
should
like-
be just natural.
It's like the female Ghostbusters. Come on, guys.
Female Ghostbusters was good for a little while.
Yeah,
the first
but
half
like,
hour of it or so
and
was
I'm not
pretty
saying
funny.
Ghostbusters can't be female.
The problem
I'm
with
sure
that
they
movie
could
is
bust the hell out of those ghosts, but you
all
know,
the men were buffoons.
yeah,
Even Bill Murray, he was bad. He was a bad guy.
right.
You know, like,
I love Bill Murray.
Bill Murray's the best. They're coming for Bill.
Are they?
Oh yeah. There's
What do
all
you
these
mean?
people saying there's all these people saying that he was horrible to work with, and I'm like, maybe they were horrible. Maybe he just doesn't tolerate assholes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But also, like, give people some, give them a chance for redemption. You know, sometimes you made mistakes. You got to come back and, be like, yeah, maybe I was an asshole back then. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what he did.
Unless he was like, it depends on the degree. That's the thing. People get so upset about things they probably know nothing about. Everything is hearsay. And that's where, like, this James Lindsay stuff, like, really, it blows my mind and then makes me so sad, is that, like, objective reality is canceled out by your local narratives. And like, if if I say this red skull is green, then it's green, and that's
you have
it.
to agree it's green, or there's some problem.
Right. Or just like getting, tremendously upset about a headline because you read it and then you believe that this thing is true, but you know nothing about it. And it could be about Bill Murray being an asshole or whatever. Like, I really care about that stuff right now. I care about how it's affected my life and mistakes I've made in thought around, like, bandwagon emotions. Like, I'm so disappointed in myself for when
what?
I've done that.
Like what?
When, like, I mean, a lot of the BLM stuff, was so intense and so emotional. And like, I read Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. And then I read Douglas Murray, who gives you a totally different context on Coates' version of the world, which is really harsh and shaming for a white person, and I do care. I do care about justice. I do care about reality and actual problems. But I think that, like, the way the narrative around racism now is so destructive. And show me where I'm wrong, by the way, like, show me where I'm saying the wrong things and I've made a mistake. But, like, diversity and inclusion officers in the schools, teaching kids about white privilege and things like that. Like, it just seems so destructive. Like, now we're so aware of each other's differences in skin color, whereas, like, I just care about if you're a good person or not. I just care about what kind of people we are. And this is where, like, I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody. Like, I want to understand what is real and what has been a narrative that's pushed on me to manipulate my emotions and push me to make choices that I don't understand.
Well, the wildest thing about the BLM thing is there's always overcorrections, right? There's always, like, things that we recognize are giant problems in this country, and racism certainly is one. And then things go so far to one direction, and then they bounce back the other direction. The problem with that is, like, you don't want it bouncing back into the area of accepting racism. You don't ever want it to be pushed in so far to one way that it becomes popular to bounce back the other way.
No, what I care about are things that are called racist that shouldn't be, like math.
Right.
Like, I'm talking about that stuff.
That kind of shit.
And like, where it's become maniacal.
The problem is it also becomes something that people barter in. You whenever you have an issue that's a cultural issue, you're going to have people that are essentially like mercenaries that use whatever that cultural issue is for their own personal gain, for their own, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that people saw with BLM was where all the money went.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean,
where did it go?
A lot of it's missing. A lot of it was spent on houses for the people that were a part of the movement that now live in mansions.
Originally, what was it supposed to be for? Community-oriented things?
But the problem is whenever you have any sort of charitable organization, you have people that are actually being paid by that organization. And, like, how much should they make? And then, like, where is that money going? How is that money being allocated? Who gets to decide? If you donate $1 million to an organization, that organization has $1 million. Do they have a mandate very specifically as to where they can apply that money and not? And it turns out in some cases, no.
Right.
And people were donating because they thought it was a good cause and the right thing to do, and it made them feel better to donate.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I did those things, and I didn't understand them other than I just felt so bad.
Right.
And that's where I wanted to take control of my life in that way, of just, like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what I believe in. I want to know what's real. And I want to read and have my own life experiences and talk to people if they want to share something with me so I can understand your perspective, Like, I'm big on meritocracy, you know, like I work hard. I know people that work really hard and get to the places they want to be in life, or keep trying to get to the place they want to be in life, whether it's your career or being a good person or being a good, you know, mother, father, husband, wife. But, you know, to say like you have an advantage because you're a man and I have a disadvantage because I'm a woman is bullshit. I mean, like, I get where sometimes that would make sense, like if we were talking UFC. But like that kind of stuff, like I've been the only woman on a bill more times than I could ever count. Like that's just like been the way for a while. And then you start seeing more female artists and they're really, really good. But I don't think they were given that position because they're women. I think they were given the spot on the bill because their music is awesome.
That's the same with comedy.
Right.
I think it's actually harder for women to do comedy.
Absolutely. It's like because the evidence is that no one's laughing if you're not funny, you know? Like,
No, I think it's harder for women because there's a lot of men that don't want to see women be the person that talks. So
Oh.
like when a woman goes on stage and she's commanding all the attention, a lot of men, oh, I fucking could do that. I should be doing that. Women aren't funny. Like there's a prejudice about women
Really?
being funny. Yeah, sure. Yeah, there definitely is. There's a prejudice amongst men that some women aren't funny.
Huh.
Yeah, and
What a
then there's
bummer.
like, what do they talk about? Look, if a woman's on stage talking about politics, good luck. It's
Yeah.
hard enough for a man to talk about politics, but when women talk about politics, again, there's a certain percentage of the male population in particular that don't want to fucking hear it.
Right.
You know?
You want to change the subject?
No, I just think it's a more difficult road, but a lot of women make it, and you know those women are very popular.
Yeah.
But comedy is a meritocracy in that if you are funny, you will, and it gets out there and people get to see it, they will come see you.
Yeah.
If you keep working on it and you keep writing new stuff and keep putting out specials,
Yeah.
you will have a career.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that don't have a career and they attribute that to sexism in some way. And you know, I go, well, did you do everything you could? Are you sure? You know, did you improve? Did you write a lot? Did you work on your act? Were you self-critical? Were you objective? Did you analyze your material and rework it and hone it down to a razor's edge? You probably didn't.
Right.
And you're probably mad, and you're probably trying to attribute all sorts of external reasons as to why you're not as successful as other people.
That's that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that. But then there's always going to be people who rise. And most people will look at those people that do rise and see, especially if those people are very dedicated and they worked hard, they go, well, there's obviously a merit to that.
Yeah. Well, these are the standards I have for myself. Like the way I see the world is like, I can't make excuses for my shortcomings or my inabilities or failures and say it's someone else's fault.
People love to do that.
I know.
It's a fucking sport.
Yeah. Well, that's where you pretty much lose me.
Yeah, it's just you're wasting so much time too, and it doesn't work. First of all, people don't believe it. When you blame other people for your lack of success, other people don't believe it. They let you talk, but they don't believe it, and they don't respect you because they know that you're looking for excuses, and they'll listen, and they may even agree with you, like, yeah, you're getting fucked over, yeah.
Right. Right.
But really, you know, it's how you behave, what you do, how you think, how you go about doing things,
Yeah.
and whether or not you can work.
Yeah.
The work part is the hardest part.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
So many people find excuses for not getting things done. It's like you just got to work. You
I
gotta
mean,
focus.
truth be told, like I'm giving my career a whole makeover because like it hasn't been working like since COVID especially, but like I'm just not making enough money on the road, and I do feel like it's my fault.
Well, there's a lot of factors.
But like
you
with
know.
that said, like I had those feelings of like a lot of sadness around it for a little while, and just like defeat, and I felt really sorry for myself. And then I've been learning Logic, which is a recording production program, and it's so fun, and I love it. And I'm getting better and better at it, and just finding like re-empowering myself with the things I can control. But the things like filling a room and across the country, and I'm in the like torso part of the music industry, like I'm club area where I could do okay, like if it were like the old days where like people were always coming out. But for some reason, the last year, They just weren't, not for me. And, that like maybe my music wasn't good enough. I don't know. Like it's hard to get the word out there these days for some reason. But either way, like I did those things. Like I was mad and I was like, well, it's because of this and because of this and because of this. And I guess at the end of the day, none of that matters. Cause I'm just like so pumped to play music no matter where I am at this point. Like it's kind of that contemplate your death feeling of just like, well, I'm having fun wherever I'm at. And I've had a lot of fun thus far. And, the thing that I want, I think I have it. I think I already have it. And if like my music explodes into the universe, great. And if I just keep getting to do what I'm doing, like that's great too. But, performing is kind of like, I don't know. Performing and seeing live performances feels essential to me. You need to go out there and do your thing.
Well, once you experience it and experience that sort of transcendent moment of the whole crowd vibing with a song, and everyone enjoying it, it's like those are beautiful moments in life. And the people that don't get to see them, maybe they forget or maybe they haven't experienced it. But it enhances your life in a very unique way. And musicians like yourself and so many others, they provide a thing that if you guys didn't provide it, the world would be less fun. It'd be less exciting.
Yeah.
It'd be less cool.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I hope I didn't contradict myself by being like, I'm making excuses.
You're looking at life and you're trying to figure yourself out.
Well, it's, I think the difficult thing is like, I know myself, I know who I am. And when you feel limited with your extension of your abilities or yourself, it's a very confusing thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what is my fault and what is just the circumstance in the state of my industry, or because it's such a moving target. It's always changing. And like, Jamie and I were talking earlier about TikTok, and I was like, fuck, it's like, okay, so you got to write the songs and you got to record them and make them fucking awesome. And then you got to make sure you're doing TikTok and like all like keeping up on the stuff.
Are you TikToking?
I have an account. I usually post like videos of my dogs and because they're hilarious. But I'll put some music on there from time to time. I don't like feeling like I have to do it.
Yeah.
It's like another like, fuck, okay, fine. The
reluctant
it feels
grasp
desperate.
of social media.
I think what I don't like about those things is like I want to come by those honestly. Like if I really feel like there's something funny I want to share,
right.
It's great because it's natural. But I also don't like seeing all of the desperation on there. Like somebody caught a wave and then they keep trying to recreate that wave over and over. And it's like, oh man, fuck, that's what you got, huh? You got that one video with the goat and you keep posting the goat videos. Goats are funny, but what else you got? Like that's sort of where I feel a little disheartened by that stuff.
Well, it's the good aspect of no one curating things. The
Right.
good aspect of not having executives in charge is that people fuck up and they do things that aren't entertaining or they're needy or whatever. But that's just part of the thing. Some people are awesome at it. Some people just have a brain that's like so well suited to performing in social media.
Right. And I love those accounts, and so that's the upside. And just sometimes like, like the things you're into, like falconry. You could just follow all that shit.
I
See
think
the most amazing owls.
with a lot of artists, there's the you want to create, but then you want to be recognized for your creations. And then you try to figure out how do I get recognized more? And what do I have to do? And then you have to do things you don't want to do, like social media. And you're
So
like, ugh.
I had a show in Chicago a couple months ago, September, and Chicago used to be a really big market for me, and Honey, like we used to just crush it. And like what's happening now is so like you get the word out about your shows through social media, or radio if whoever listens to the radio. And then the promoters that are promoting the show are using the same tools that you are. And so I went to, like, you have to pay to boost your posts on Instagram, but you also have to be approved before you pay for the boost. So I had like a flyer about my show in Chicago and I got denied to boost it to geo-target the area. And I don't know why. So I couldn't like.
Did you post any COVID stuff?
No. I hadn't in a while.
But you might have.
Maybe
You
like
might
a
have
year.
got put on a list.
I stopped talking about shit. Like
You might have got put on a
this is
list.
probably where I'm going to get in trouble because I've been like, but I no, it wasn't anything like that. And
But you did before.
I think I posted one thing that was, I can't remember, but it was like a logical thing about the vaccine of like, well, if I can still get COVID and spread COVID, why do I need the vaccine?
I think that's all you need to do to get
Really?
put on a list.
But there's other cities where I've been able to geo-target and boost my posts. So for some reason, it just wouldn't let me.
Maybe it's Lori Lightfoot. Maybe she's blocked you from promoting.
Anyway, like it was just, yeah, you know what? You're probably right.
I don't know what the fuck the behind the scenes stuff is. Like Elon posted on Twitter that people that have had their accounts removed and they're trying to get them back, they're not going to be able to do it for a while because they're going through the code and they're
Right.
trying to they're trying to figure. They brought in a bunch of Tesla engineers to like go over the code.
crazy.
It's amazing.
We're bringing in rocket scientists
Yeah.
to fix Twitter.
But apparently during this time, the content moderation it really hasn't changed. It's the same sort of algorithm that are in control
Okay.
of content and posts. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people are like, oh, God, everything's different since Elon came on board. So he made a post like nothing has changed. We haven't changed anything about content moderation. They don't have the same people behind the
Right.
scenes that they fired everybody.
I
You know?
saw that. Did you hear about the two guys that like trolled?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was so brilliant. Like that's the kind of TikTok shit I want to see. Like really, really
They pretended
innovative.
they were employees.
minds.
Yeah. I got to get home to my husband and my wife.
No, but it was like they had some sort of name that was like a "Hey, would you blow me" or something. Like they put their names together, and it was something like
yeah,
that. Like
exactly. Yeah.
I love that shit.
Well, it's just
Make a
it's a
good
fun
joke out of
time
it.
to goof on people
It
because so many people are so goddamn serious and stupid.
Wow. And here we are.
Here we are being serious and stupid. Yeah, we're not contributing. We're just droning on and on about the same. But that's life.
Yeah. Life's good though. In its simplest form, like
So
the littlest things.
When you said you like retooled your career, like what did you do?
I'm retooling it now.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm making new music and taking more control from the actual recording side of things, so I don't need to depend on other people to make music. Like I can do it on my own.
Did you and Gary record Midnight Rider?
So yes, but no. I recorded the track with Elijah Ford and JJ Johnson, his drummer and bass player, who are fucking awesome. And Gary's working on his record right now, so I don't want to bother him too much. But we like made a track, which is awesome. I could play you what we have, but I really just want to send it to you like in its full
Okay.
form. But Gary really likes it, so he's just gonna add his stuff to it, which is gonna be epic. And no pressure, Gary, but we've talked about it in public now.
Well, when you guys did that one night that we went out, it was who put together that party? Some liquor company?
Jameson. Yeah.
So we went out. It was like a Monday or a Tuesday in downtown
Something
LA
like
at
that.
like midnight in this small place. And you guys and Gary on stage, and you're singing the lyrics off your phone because you don't know the lyrics.
Didn't know that. Well, I knew the first verse and then the other. Yeah. Anyway, I got a lot of shit for that.
Well, that people thought you were like reading your text messages.
Who
while
the
you-
fuck would do that? That's so dumb.
Yeah. Well, who the fuck would sing a song that they literally haven't practiced ever and then do it that way? You guys did, but it was amazing. It was such a great version.
It was fun.
And Gary's sound is so distinctive. Like you hear a riff and you're like, oh, that's Gary Clark Jr.
He's the best. And he's such a
He's
great dude.
magic.
Yeah, I love Gary.
He's
I love
magic.
watching him
He's
play.
a magic person.
Yeah, he's very special.
Yeah, there's people that are just magic. They just have a thing and it just works, and he's so cool.
Yeah.
And so calm and so fucking talented. And when
Yeah.
he starts playing, that sound it's just amazing to me that someone can take a guitar, and so many people play guitar, but when he plays the guitar, it's him.
Oh yeah.
It's his sounds coming through that guitar, and you can tell almost immediately.
But also, like, his voice is incredible. Like, it is beautiful, and he can sing in so many different ways. Like, it's. I did a couple shows with him last year, and it was just I loved watching him play. Like, and the whole band, like he's got a great band. Like they all just, the whole thing is put together so well, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah. No, it's exciting, and it's exciting that he's here. You know,
This is his hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember talking to him before the COVID thing when he moved back. He moved back before COVID. He moved here. He's like, man, I just can't do it.
Oh, from LA?
anymore.
Yeah, they've been
like,
back for a while, I think.
Yeah. He's like, I just can't do this place
Yeah,
anymore. It's
same.
just,
It got dark. Like once again, Joe, thanks for encouraging me to move to Austin, because my whole life changed in so many incredible ways. But I didn't know how bad LA was until I left. And I mean, it was getting bad when I was there. Like I was chasing people out of my yard. Like I lived in Silver Lake, and it was just dangerous. And then just on top of that, like this collective angst that you could not get away from.
yeah, the collective angst was the scariest thing to me, because it's like so many people had adopted it.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the tone. That's the weird thing about traveling, is you get to see the tone of a city. Like Tom Segura was just talking about Toronto, and that he was in Toronto a few months back where people still had to wear fucking masks.
It's crazy.
Still.
That's so crazy.
They had a mask mandate. He's like, this is insane. And then he went back to Toronto after the mask mandate. And he's like, you could feel like it's like lifted something off
yeah.
of people.
Well, I mean, you know, when you moved here, like, wasn't Austin only locked down for like 3 months, and then they were just back up and running? And
Yeah, pretty quickly.
yeah,
Yeah. It's just a more logical approach. And the problem is there was so much pushback against that logical approach that was incorrect. So many
Right.
people were saying, you're
Right.
going to kill us all.
right.
It's not true.
Well, that was that, you know, maneuver too when I moved here, was like me trying to regain my own, like, you know, intellectual integrity. I was like, what thoughts are my own? Like in LA, like it's such an echo chamber of like flagrant emotions and angst, like we said. And so like, I just like, I mean, I didn't realize it until I left. Like I was just suffocated. And even creatively, like I didn't write the whole year of COVID. I didn't write one song, which is like, I write all the time.
What did you
love
do?
to write. Honestly, I like really worked on myself. Like I meditated and was like reading all the books and, you know, having my, you know, dark nights of the soul. And I really
Sometimes
was
that's
like,
good
it was
too, though.
It was hardcore. Like I was in a very low place, very, very low. And, for like in the best way. 'Cause I mean, like I was there for almost 20 years. I was there for 18 years, save for 2 years in Nashville. And I mean, you know, I came here to visit you and see you guys perform at Stubbs. And then I was like, I really like this place. And I expected to be lonely for a while. Like I really thought like it would be like when I moved to LA, like I didn't have good friends for like 2 years. Like I didn't find my friends, the kind of people I like, you know. And it like just from the jump, I was just making all these friends. And then I met Nick 3 weeks here. And it was beautiful. I was like, freedom. I just got to live again in a way that is very natural to my person and you know, just the things I'm into. And
Well, we're just very lucky that there's a place like this that exists, that you could go that was different,
yeah.
that people weren't encaptured with that
Right.
fucking angst that LA and fucking the
I
fog.
mean, you still have it here, but it's not. It's in these little pockets.
It's cute.
It's
when you see
cute,
people
yeah,
walking
aw.
down the street with a mask
Yeah.
on, like, oh,
Yeah,
look at you.
I was at a grocery store in a neighborhood the other day, and there was like 10 people with masks on in the
Still.
grocery store, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Still. It's the Democrats' MAGA hat.
Oh my god.
That's what it is. They're letting you know. I'm on the good team.
Oh my god.
That's what it is. And they don't want to take it off because it's an identity point.
The thing is, I have empathy for people's fear. Like, I almost want to be like, it's going to be okay. You know, like I want to hug them.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, you're going to be fine.
But it's not just their fear. It's an identity thing.
It's a flag. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, they're wearing a flag on their face.
But I've also had like a ton of people wear their masks and be totally fine talking to me, like not offended.
Yeah.
You know, that part's always funny to me. Like if you have a mask on and they're like giving you the the look of like, why aren't you wearing one? Well, if you have one, then you should be fine.
Well, it's like at this point, what the fuck? Are you not listening at all? Are you not reading anything?
Yeah.
You're not paying attention at all? You know,
Yep.
I mean, one of the reasons why I got really into fiction recently, and I've been reading all these the Gray Man books and all these fiction books, is because it's escapism.
Yeah, of
because
course.
The nonfiction that I was reading was fucking terrifying. I got deep into the real Anthony Fauci book. I was like, I got to put
I
this
told you
fucking
about
thing
that.
down. Well, Nick and I talked about it when we went to that dinner with
Right.
Jordan Peterson, and then I started getting into it, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And undeniable facts. This is not like that.
You got to take breaks from that stuff. Yeah.
That book is long as fuck and filled with horrific details.
Yes, it is. But listen, I don't think nonfiction is just escapism. Like nonfiction reinvigorates your vocabulary, your own creativity. It gives you a boost of a story, you know? And I actually use that as like if I'm really depressed or I'm super anxious and I can't hold a thought, I set a timer and I make myself read a book for like 20 minutes. And I mean, it's almost instant that I snap out of whatever funk I was in, but it's very grounding. It's not a device. It's not an electronic device. And I just love to learn, even if it's a fictional story. I think it's very healthy.
Well, it's good to absorb other people's ideas. It's good to absorb other people's writing, their work. You know, and you get a part of their perspective through their work too. It's not just the facts. You know, I like both. I like fiction just like I don't want to think about reality. I just want to like get carried away by a story.
Right.
But I also like nonfiction. It's just like the problem was that the nonfiction I was leaning into was all just it just filled me with dismay and anger. And
you got to balance it out.
That book is frustrating.
It's tough.
The real Anthony Fauci is frustrating.
I actually haven't finished it because I was starting to get really depressed.
It's fucking depressing. When they get to the part where they were experimenting with HIV vaccines on foster kids.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And it's
That's
airtight.
real.
It's all airtight. You can't dispute
It's irrefutable.
it. I know.
That's the problem is people want to paint Robert Kennedy Jr. as a conspiracy theorist. Like, you go ahead and do that, but there's a reason why he's not getting sued for that book.
Yeah.
It's because they have all of the citations, and it's all
and it's not even
documented.
politics. He's a lifelong Democrat. Like there's no like two ways around that book. It's tough, but again, like there's that like anybody like could just lose yourself in all that stuff, and it's like this balance of like I want to know about that stuff, but I also don't want to like lose my fucking mind, because you can. It's so dark.
A lot of people do. Well, a lot of people go from that to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And if you just only look for corruption and just horrible abuses of power, there's so many examples of it. And you could really think that this is affecting your life more, even so than it is, because it's your primary focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go crazy.
Yeah, no, I take lots of breaks.
Yeah,
so I'm
you
into
gotta
this
take
whole
breaks.
Greek mythology and also Norse gods. I read American Gods, Neil Gaiman's book that they made a TV show about it, but it's really actually, kind of ironic because it's about the old gods versus the new gods, and the new gods are like the god of TV and the gods of cell phones and like technology.
What is it? What is the?
It's a fictional book about gods living among us, but the old gods have lost they're dying because they're not. No one cares about them anymore.
What are the old gods? Chivalry.
Like no. I mean, it's like they use actual like gods.
Norse gods.
Yeah, Norse gods like Odin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But is he Odin? They give him another name. But it's really like I don't know. I just love like archetype kind of comparisons and just as something that I don't know why I'm drawn to it, but I really enjoyed that book, and it had this great quote that I think is Neil Gaiman's own words, which is every hour wounds, the last one kills. And it's like, man, that's fucking good.
That's a little depressing.
It's pretty depressing.
Every hour?
Every hour wounds, the last one kills.
Okay.
I know. We're going to be okay.
Jesus, are we? Jesus,
I mean,
Neil.
overall, it's pretty good, and the show's pretty good. It has Ian McShane, who's like one of my favorite actors. But anyway,
What's that on?
it's on. Oh yeah,
Is it good?
I've enjoyed it. I haven't finished the show, but it's pretty good.
Okay. There's too many fucking things to
Maybe it's also on
watch.
Amazon, I don't know.
Oh,
There's too many things to watch.
yeah. You could.
Got to
that's-
make a list.
That's the thing that happened during COVID, right? It's like so many people caught up on so many different shows.
Everything.
and so-
Yeah.
This is an unprecedented time for entertainment,
Oh sure.
but it's just so much of it, unfortunately, is very limited.
I try not to, like, I get kind of anxious when I watch too much TV because I need to like do other things with my brain.
Yeah.
Recently started doing puzzles.
Really?
Yeah.
Like regular puzzles?
Like a
Jigsaw?
1,000-piece puzzle, which
Oh.
is, it's a lot of work. But like started the puzzle, couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm like doing other things, going to the gym, can't stop thinking about that puzzle. I got to get back to it. I got to finish that
Really?
thing.
I've never had that problem.
Super weird.
I look at puzzles, I'm like, this is stupid.
No, I love it. It's
Feel
very
that way too, Jamie?
It's like it's
you don't?
Now there's a couple. I think there's one big YouTube channel. This guy like buys the most expensive puzzle you can find.
Yeah.
And it's to be like this block. He'd be like, well, how the fuck do you open this? And he'll spend 5 hours trying to figure out how to open it and show you the whole thing.
Yeah. Great.
He fast forwards past all the boring shit, but like it's interesting.
Okay,
I don't
that's
know.
a different kind of puzzle, right? That's not
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
that's-
what she's saying too, like all blue, like they'll just know it's all the puzzle pieces are the same shape. Basically, they cut them the exact same.
Oh my god.
So it's like impossible to figure out.
Oh no,
but,
that would break my brain. But also, I want to know about it.
yeah. I skipped ahead the jigsaw stuff.
It's
to even crazier
meditative, and you know, you can also like listen to a podcast and do it. Like, there's something about there's some sort of reward in putting it together when it's a mess and organizing it, and you know, it's a good. Well, it's a strategy for Nick and I too. Like, we do it together because there's a project-oriented bonding thing.
right. You're working together for a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really enjoy it. Like, it's supposed to be an exercise, but I was like, when are we getting another puzzle? I fucking love this shit.
When you write, like if you write music, do you have like a process that you go through? Do you just have a thought in your head when you're writing a song? Do you sit aside and say like, I'm going to write from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.? Like, how do you do it?
Both of those things. The more you stick to a schedule and like keep chipping away at a song, the better and better it gets. And then the easier it gets. Like, if I'm actively working on lyrics as well as instrumental, it all starts to like piece together. And sometimes old ideas from years ago that I've saved, I'll like Frankenstein a song together and it'll make sense, kind of like a fucking puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Did we just have a eureka
Yeah, we
moment?
did.
But yeah, I mean, the process is just to keep doing it, you know? And sometimes I'll get the lyrics for a song I was working on when I'm driving in my car and I have to, you know, voice record them. 'Cause it can also be kind of haunting because I'll have it stuck in my head, like a song I'm working on, and then like I'll be like half awake in the morning and I'll be like singing it in my head. And it feels like until it's done, just like this puzzle. Oh my God. Like I can't, it's like in the back of my mind, like it has to be finished. Like you have to keep going. Like you have to finish that. So it'll keep me up at night sometimes. But yeah, it's like a responsibility to keep doing it. So my process is to keep doing it, just to write.
So you don't have like very specific methods. You don't have like I am going to sit down at 9 a.m. and have a cup of coffee. And...
Yeah, I do that. I
Yeah.
do that, you know, and it's really good for, you know, me and my husband because he's a writer and he works from home. So like he goes to his area, I go to mine, and like
There's creative energy in the house.
yeah, and it's motivating too because like I know he's doing something amazing. And I'm like, well, I want to do something amazing too.
Yeah.
But
That's
also
what's great about that kind of environment.
oh,
right?
I love it. I
The
love it.
Standards are higher.
Yeah, and he's just so beautiful, creatively, intellectually. Like books, he's always giving me books like, Suze, you'd love this. And like, you know, I love his brain. Like he's just so generous with everything he knows about, which is, I think a very special quality. You know, like he's not a dick about it. Like he wants to share.
Yeah.
And I always want to learn. But you know, I'm learning this new program. I'm learning Logic, which is like Pro Tools, and that's been a different approach to writing because I'm building these tracks, which is really fun. And then I'm writing the lyrics and the melodies to the tracks I've built, which I don't normally do it like that. I kind of like sit down and figure it out with my guitar. So I'm kind of writing like pop songs right now, which I'm not sure if they're for me or for others, but I enjoy the process. It's
What do you mean by you're not sure if they're for you or for others?
Because I can write songs for other people.
Do you do that often?
Not often, but it's something I'm starting to do, which is really fun. You know, like that's what Sia did for a long time. Like she was writing these hit songs, and she also had 07, which is a band from I think the 90s, and her own solo stuff, which was amazing. But like she like exploded after she'd written a bunch of hit songs for other artists, which I always thought was cool.
So when you're writing these pop songs, are you writing them thinking, I don't even know if this is for me? Or just creating?
No, you know, I'm just trying to get the idea out there. Like I try not to pepper it with an outcome because then it kind of feels like it's I don't know. I just doesn't feel like the right place for me to come from when I'm making something. Like I just want to formulate the idea and have it be beautiful and is best as I can.
And you're just not even sure if it's for you.
Sometimes, yeah. But
how would you know though? Like if you're writing it and you're performing it and you're creating it and you're like, maybe this isn't even for me. Like what gives you that feeling that is it that it doesn't fit with your image? Is it that
maybe it's that, maybe it's like I'll bet somebody else could really sell this. You know, because then it becomes, it depends. Like I don't even know what my image is, to be honest with you. And I think that's probably
good.
Yeah, like I don't know. I was going to say that's half the problem for me is like you can never fit me into a box. Like, and that's always been difficult. Like people just say I play Americana music, but like I play rock and roll and I also love synthesizers and all the stuff and, and soul music. And, I don't know.
I think that's better. I mean, some of my favorite artists, like they're so different from album to album. Like Sturgill's a great example.
He's great.
He's great. He's so different from album to album. And he flips people on their head. They're like, what the fuck is he doing now?
But he also has the big record, the first one, like he has that malleability to be able to do that, you know? I guess everybody does. You can make whatever kind of music you want.
Yeah. But what he does is he goes off grid and he got rid of his phone and he has one of them simple phones now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All you can do is text him and it's
so
only
great.
green.
Yeah.
He can't get links.
It's only green. He can't
Yeah. He didn't get links.
I wanted to do that. I probably will at some point.
He's serious about it.
Yeah.
He's pretty disciplined about it too.
I think Jack White does that too.
Yeah.
I heard once that, this is hearsay, that he doesn't even have a cell phone. I think he just has email. But, that's the new punk rock, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are realizing that your brain is being captured by all these different things that are on your device. And it does occupy a lot of your time.
Yes, it does.
My phone broke once when I was in Hawaii. We went to Lanai and I dropped my phone and it just started calling people randomly. like you'd hang up on it to call a new person, hang up, call a new person. And I was like, look at this. This is nuts. And so I realized it was broken. So I had to get a new phone, but we were on Lanai and it took like 3 or 4 days to ship it to me.
Yeah.
So I ordered it and in 3 days, no phone while
How was that?
I'm on vacation. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I have this like giant weight, but meanwhile, I couldn't wait to get back to prison.
Oh, yeah.
To mental prison and get that phone and
that Stockholm syndrome.
And check all the texts that I got that don't mean anything. Like
falling in love with your captor once again, Greek tragedy.
Once again, yeah, the little dopamine rush that you get from checking text messages and emails and.
I always feel so dirty with that. Like, oh, look at all those likes I got, and I feel good about myself. Like, damn it.
Yeah, the likes. That's a real fucking carrot at the end of the stick.
You know what I did enjoy, and I try to but when I posted photos from my wedding, that was actually really cool.
Yeah,
just
sure.
like
It's a
all the
great moment
love
of
and
your life.
support, and then yeah, and just it wasn't about my career or anything. It was about like the most important thing in my life, and that was cool.
That's actual life.
Yeah,
that's what those things are supposed to be for.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing actual, real moments with people you actually care about. The problem with social media is that it's intoxicating, and people get drunk off of it, and they just want to be just dosed all throughout the day.
Well, I mean, man, I'll tell you what, I am so worried about our kids. Like, we grew up with our own stuff, right? Like, I grew up in the 90s, and like, you would compare yourself to a magazine or something, or like the popular girls at school or whatever the fuck. And now, like, every reflection of your face is on something that you can manipulate and look better on your phone, and you can change like your bone structure. I mean, all that stuff. Like, what a mind fuck of complexes.
Mind fuck.
And also just like your attention span. I was talking with the guys outside about spelling. That we're just suited up for so many bad spellers. And, because you have your autocorrect on your phone and you don't really write things out like on a piece of paper with a pencil or a pen. And, those are, call me a traditionalist, but.
One of the things that people realized about like AI and recognizing problem words and flagging things, if you're writing cursive, AI doesn't pick that up.
Oh, nice.
So people are writing in cursive and then taking a photograph of that thing and then posting that. So you could post
That's
messages about certain things.
I always write in cursive for the most part.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. I journal a lot. I love it. When I write somebody a card, it's cursive. Oh. It's not as neat as I would like it to be, but it's cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's old school, old-timey writing.
The calligraphy of today.
Yeah. I know this sounds crazy, but I have to pee.
I have to pee too.
Okay, so let's pee, and then we'll come back. Let's play some music.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right, we'll be right back.
Do you want to hear some music?
Sure.
So I told you I was going to play these songs that haven't recorded or released. So this might be the only place you could hear them.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to record them. Okay. You tell me this is a dream, but I'm grinding my teeth and spilling my cup in the backseat and pulling your hair. You drive too slow, 'cause you don't care if we get there. Will we ever get there? Sometimes I just wish that you would spin out and lose your mind, 'cause it's honest and it's all I ever wanted from you. From you. You want me to go to sleep and make things easy on you, but I'm not tired anyway, and I don't want to waste a day or make your mistakes, or make your mistakes. Sometimes I just wish that you would spin out and lose your mind, 'cause new guy, kind of 90s rock.
I like it.
You want to hear another one?
Yeah,
Okay. New or old?
whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you want to play.
What did it cost? What did it cost? Losing your head again. Watching your goodness end. You're punching concrete, flesh and stone meat. Your beautiful body heart. Running from open arms. Come and sit with me now. Let my love settle you down. I'll give it all to you. If you want me to. I know what you paid. You paid it in spades. Pain like a hurricane. Ruthless and devastating. But you're upright and well. Since crawling through hell. Time wounds us almost days. It heals us in different ways. Come and rest with me now. Let my love settle you down. I'll give it all to you. If you want me to. If you want me to. If you want me to. If you want me to.
What does it feel like when a song's over?
I don't know. I mean, it's for you and whoever wants to hear it. Yeah, it's weird because I only played that for my husband and a friend of mine, so
Wow.
it's kind of scary, I guess, because they're just little baby songs I just finished, so they might change. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I try not to be too precious about it. Like, that's delicious. I don't know. I guess it's vulnerable, you know, like, so that's kind of scary.
Do you ever think of who you would have been if you didn't discover music?
Oh yeah, I would have been living in Cleveland selling pizza and spaghetti at my family's restaurant.
Did you ever think about that? Because there's
It's
things
tough.
that happen in our lives, and you get into that thing, then it changes who you are.
Well, I was a teen model, and then I was an actor, and I was a working actor, and I lived in New York, and I moved to LA when I was almost 20, and I was doing pretty well in New York, and then when I got to LA, I had to get to the back of the line of the acting world, and my love for it had changed into desperation because I wanted to work, like I needed money, and so when I think about if I'd stayed in New York, and I feel like I might have done really well as an actor for a little while. Who knows? That's but I don't know what kind of person I would have become. Because music is it's so different. When you're acting, you are employed by a company and a director and a writer and all the things that you embody the thing, but it's not necessarily yours in a way. Music is personal. It's therapeutic. It's a sincere outlet, that is healthy in a lot of ways that so I always wondered man, would I have been a total dick if I'd made it as an actor?
Right.
But yeah, it's weird. What about you? What do you if you didn't do comedy, if you weren't acting when you were younger,
I'd be a
love
mess.
watching you on news radio, by the way. It's so fun. It's so fun. I'm that's my friend. And my daughter loves it. She's make sure you tell Joe how much we love news radio.
It's so weird to see a young me.
You were great. It's so fun. And that show was funny.
It was a good show.
It was really good.
Spoiled me for sure. I went from being on a really bad show to being on that show.
What was the other show?
It was called Hardball. It was on Fox. Started off really good writers.
Yeah.
These guys who wrote for The Simpsons, they wrote for Married with Children, and it was that classic story of the network getting involved and ruining it and
Yeah.
putting on a hack executive producer who had done a bunch of hacky sitcoms, really clunky, shitty sitcoms.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't very good, and there was a lot of talented people on the show.
That's such a tough thing as an actor too, because a job's a job. You want to. It's do you want to do that or do you want to bartend? But then do you want to does that torpedo your career for a future? It's just such a roll of the dice.
I didn't have any aspirations, so I was extremely. It was just luck. It was 100% luck. I didn't take any acting lessons. I wasn't an actor. No, I wasn't an actor at all.
Yeah, but you have that bold spirit that's gonna take risks. So that is what an actor is. You're not I mean, obviously, I'm sure you kept learning more about it as you did it, but committing to this story that's in front of you and becoming this thing.
Yeah, well, my point was that it wasn't something that I was interested in doing. It was something that was offered to me. Total luck.
And you were also doing comedy.
Yes.
Okay.
I was doing stand-up first.
Right.
And that's how I got a development deal.
Cool.
And
I didn't
they
know that.
made me go to an acting coach in New York. I went a couple of times, but it was I didn't enjoy it. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
And it's just I felt like the kind of acting, if you're talking about Daniel Day-Lewis acting, yeah, that is really fucking hard.
Right.
But if you're talking about me playing a dumbass on TV, I can do that. I know how to perform. It's not much different than stand-up. It's a next door neighbor of stand-up. Because you're doing it in front of a live crowd and you're interacting with other people that are really funny.
Yeah.
Not that hard.
Yeah.
It's just different. You just got to get used to doing it. And I think it's the only way you really get used to doing it is if you were doing it with other people. An acting class I was taking, I just don't know how effective that was. But the point is, when I was doing it, it wasn't something I wanted to do, and it was terrible. The show was terrible. We all knew it was terrible. And then because of all the aforementioned problems that they had with it. And then right after that show gets canned, and then I get on news radio. And I'm oh my God, this is the greatest show.
How many seasons did you
5
do?
seasons.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We did 4 with Phil Hartman and 1 with John Lovitz.
And did that set up your life? You could set up your finances and
Not really. No. No, because I was a moron and I spent every dollar I earned.
Copy that. Isn't that such a thing? I feel like they should teach. No one taught me about money either. I had to learn the hard way. And that sucks.
Yeah.
That's such a valuable skill set to have.
One thing it did, it gave me freedom. Like, because I
Sure.
had some money, I didn't worry about not having any money for food or rent or shit like that, which is like the real heavy expense. The heavy thing over people's head is like their credit card debt, whatever debt they have. And I remember when I first started making money, the first thing that I noticed was the lightness of like life had a lightness to it because the stress of bills were off. And I was like, wow, how much is that weight you're carrying around on your shoulders all the time? Because it felt like physically, I felt like a weight was lifted off of me.
Of course.
Yeah.
That is like sometimes too, like that's like a spiritual practice too. Like you have to get out of that struggle mindset because like think about like people that win the lottery and then spend it all in 6 months and go right back to where they were. Like it's energy, you know, and it's acceptance and having a really interesting relationship with yourself and what you view as needs. You know, like you think you need, like I need that car. I need this blah, blah, blah. I need it.
Yeah.
You know, all the shit that you really don't at all.
Mostly it's nonsense. Mostly nonsense. You can enjoy some things that you like. The idea that you don't enjoy like physical things, like a piece of art like this thing. Like I enjoy this thing, this physical
different.
thing. But obviously because it's art. But even, you know, there's stuff that people enjoy about wealth, but it's generally not worth the amount of effort that you have to apply to get those things. What really is valuable is the things that you enjoy that make you happy, whether it's fly fishing or whether it's fucking, whatever your thing is.
Right.
Like the only thing that's going to make you happy is doing that thing.
Right.
The other stuff that comes with it, like the money and stuff like that, is like, that can become a problem of its own for some people because you start concentrating only on that and making more of that. And what do I have to do to maximize that? And then that becomes a primary focus as opposed to like what you actually enjoy doing.
Well, and you know these people, right? The people that like they're very unhappy.
Yeah.
Like that is a lifestyle that is a perpetual agony almost in some ways. Like it's just like it's. I don't know, like you outgrow it and then you're like, what are you going to be? Like that old guy who's like, you know, on his boat with all the women, you know,
Right.
like
Where does it go? Where do you go? Does he go to the south of France with a diamond encrusted watch and, you know, you showing everybody what you have? Like, what are you doing?
well, there's that contemplate your death thing again. You know, it's like, it's nice to set up your family and make sure everybody's okay and provided for. And it is freedom, but also like it'll tear families apart. Money will ruin people. Like it's a very fickle thing.
Yeah, it certainly can. And the access to it, like family money, like if there's like some dude who owns some oil company and he's dying and all the family starts fighting over how much, you know, they're trying to get closer to dad and, you know what she's been saying behind your back. And like, what? That cunt.
Yeah,
Just
no,
cut
I
her
mean,
out of the
it's
will.
ugly and sad. And
Yeah, people are nuts when it comes to money. And I've seen it with the saddest ones are when someone dies and like the family's fighting with the boyfriend of the person who died or the girlfriend.
God,
It's like,
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
it's
They're squabbling over money. And they have lawyers involved, and lawyers are looking out for their best interests, so everybody's trying to get a piece.
there's like that middle road for me of, because I've had my whole life, like, you know, except for now, which is so new for me in a way. But like feast or famine, like music is like you get a record deal and it's never even feast. It's like you get like 30 grand and you live in LA and you have to split it and you get 1099.
Right.
So like none of that works. Like it all sucks. I mean, like when I was in Honey Honey, we would do months and months and months of touring and I would come back in the hole because like it costs so much money to be out there. And then you know, but you're like having this great experience and you're spreading your work and you get to do your work. And you know, you still like, you're not starving, but like you don't have your own apartment, you know,
Right.
It's really interesting. And I had to work like really hard, like, you know, emotionally and spiritually on my relationship with my struggle as an artist. Like, and then like getting over it, when I toured with Hosier, I was in his band, and that was like the first time in my life. I made really nice money in that band, and it set me up for my record, and it was the first time I really didn't worry, and that was only like 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But
you and Honey Honey together particularly gave me real insight into how difficult it is to make in the music business. Because I always thought you just had to be talented. And it's weird what catches and what doesn't catch. Because I remember the first time I saw you guys, I'm like, these guys are going to be fucking huge.
You know what, though? There's so many different rewards with it where it's like we've made so many great friends. I've made so many wonderful friends. I have these beautiful relationships with my extended family that I would never see if I weren't a touring musician. Like my cousins in Atlanta, who I love so much. I would never have a relationship with these people if I didn't see them a couple times a year. And they're wonderful. And like, there's all these other rewards. And there are a lot of people that notice it, that notice like, oh man, I see you. I see what's going on here. Like, you know, and then there's other people that think that like my life is glamorous or something. Like you have like the absolute wrong idea.
The music business is very hard. Yeah. There's kings, right? There's like the Gary Clarks and
yeah, he's a king for sure.
There's kings, you know.
But he's a good king.
He's a great king.
He's one of the good ones.
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, yeah.
He's one of the best ever.
Agreed.
He's you know, there's Roger Waters. You know, there's people that can just like sell everything everywhere. And
but
then,
Roger like came up in a very different time when like.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't Pink Floyd and you weren't Roger, like you could still make a ton of money in some ways, like depending on who you were and what kind of music you were playing, you know, with like one song.
Because records would sell.
Because people
and you
paid
would get
for
the
it.
money for it.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
Yeah.
That was the number one thing that enhanced some people's appreciation for music and killed record sales, all in one thing.
It's a very double-edged sword, Spotify.
Well, it was way before that. It was really Napster.
Yeah, Napster.
Napster was free.
I used to download all that shit and then like fry my Dell computer with viruses because like, you know, you'd get a clue on what's the new like download service and then, you know, I remember like all these tricks to like override my computer so I could just burn that CD.
Wow. Yeah, I remember the Napster days, and I remember like having like a personal agreement with myself that if I got something from Napster and it was good, I'd go buy the CD.
Yeah.
So I'd make a personal agreement.
That's
yeah.
nice.
Well, I just felt gross because here I am, I'm on television and I've got Napster.
Yeah.
I'm getting stuff for free. That's gross. So I just
well, and but you're an artist, so you know the difference. And but also, P.S. like if there's someone that can't afford my music and they want to hear it, like please listen to it, like. You know, like it's at this point, some of it feels like an act of service, and I'm not mad at that. Like I love to play music for people. It's my favorite thing in the world. Like it really is, and I keep getting better at it. So why would I stop? You know, and like I keep learning new things about, you know, my violin or, you know, my banjo. And like I picked up my banjo for the first time recently, and I forgot how much I loved it. You know, and I used to play that thing every night. You know, it's just kind of, at this point, in terms of artistic commodities and like monetizing this stuff, like what I really care about is the human experience of that moment when you're having that connection and you're sharing this thing. Like I have these gifts, right? Like I'm going to call it that. And like they're meant to be shared. Whether it's in my living room or in front of thousands and thousands of people, and I've done both, and it's great.
Yeah, the nature of it's meant to be shared.
And so, like, you know, extracting my ego from my expectations of what I thought it was going to be like, or what, like I have no idea. I have no idea what the world's going to be like. I mean, like, look at the last couple of years. Did any of us anticipate?
We're on the brink of a nuclear war.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
100%. Nobody
real.
talks about that.
Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about the Nord Stream pipeline and all the shit and like, oh my God.
This is a wild time.
That's what I mean. Like any chance I can have quality time with my friends and my family, like,
Don't you think we got
it.
that out of COVID at the very least?
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
if we can remember what it was like in the beginning days, because in the beginning days when everything was shutting down and we didn't know how long it was going to last and whether or not anything would come back to normal again, there was this importance of what actually matters, your loved ones, the people you care about. Like I had to resign myself to never doing stand-up again. I was like, okay, I guess that's over.
Same.
I guess stand-up's over.
Did I tell you about when I was quarantined with my parents for 5 weeks in South Carolina in their gated community?
Yeah.
I would go for walks every night and just cry. But like everybody's so friendly.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, "Hi, how are you?"
So
I thought my life was over.
yeah.
And then I was trying
So
to find all my
tumultuous.
gratitude of like, man, I had so much fun. And I did and I do. But like, you know, it's having the experiences that I got to have as a musician, man, what a treat.
Yeah, for sure.
And like again, I still get to have them as long
Yeah.
as I can, and you know.
Yeah, you're really fucking good at it. That show that you put on here
Thank
at
you.
that private club was amazing. It
Oh,
was really
thanks.
fun.
I thought I did a terrible job that
No,
night.
you were great. You're great. I don't get that much opportunity to see live music, even though it's here all the time.
You got to do it. There's so many great people in town. It's
I
fun.
have to for my own head too. I think
You should go to Seaboys sometime or like
What's
Continental
that?
Club.
Yeah, I heard Continental Club's the shit.
All good.
I'd
And
like to go to that.
Jimmy Vaughn plays at Seaboys a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Stevie Ray's brother, and he's
Yeah.
great, and he's friends with Gary. You know, Gary last summer brought us on to Blues on the Green, which was like we played in front of like 30,000 people,
Jeez.
and it was so fun. He's so great. But Jimmy played, I played, a couple other folks played, and it was just like the community here is spectacular. It's so different from LA. It's different from New York. It's different from Nashville. It's not there's no like song machine industry here like in like LA and Nashville
Right.
and New York. It's its own thing. It's really what Willie and all the like highwaymen like.
Yeah.
It's maintained its integrity. It's beautiful. I'm so grateful to be a part of it, and like I want to give all my best qualities to this city musically. Like I'm so pumped to be here as a musician. It's fucking great.
I feel the same way about comedy.
Yeah?
Comedy here. Yeah, comedy here is very exciting.
Well, you brought
so
a bunch
many-
of people with you, didn't you? Like you kind of redefined it. Like what was it
Yeah.
before you came back or you
Well,
got
they
here?
had like a little scene. They had a little scene, but when we decided, yeah, sure. When we decided to come here, it 100% changed everything. When we came here, we
Well,
brought.
I was talking about your pastel cartel.
Oh, is
but
that what you want?
yeah.
I want some of this too. All right,
Maybe one hit before I get stupid. Thanks.
the pastel's calling you, huh?
Thanks. A little bit.
There's this meme of me and Theo Vaughn, and we're
He's so funny.
he's the best. We're doing vapes, and I go, "How addictive is that thing?" He goes, "Very addictive." And there's like a thing where like people use that, and it's a voiceover, so they lip sync to it, doing all kinds of things. That
That's
conversation
hilarious.
with Theo and I talking about vape pens.
He's so funny. You got some fun friends. I love Tony.
Theo's moving here.
Is he really? Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
So Tom Segura, Christina Pazitsky, Tony Hinchcliffe, Derek Poston,
Thank you. my
David Lucas, Hans Kim, William Montgomery, Ron White,
friend. Oh,
Duncan
great.
Trussell.
No shit.
Yeah, they all live
Great.
here now. I mean, we got a fucking army of
So fun.
hitters.
Yeah.
These shows that we're doing one at the Vulcan tonight. I'm doing the Creek in the Cave tomorrow. We've been doing these shows. They're fucking fun as shit.
It's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
and people are coming in from all over the world
Yeah.
to these shows.
That's my dream, is to like build a theater here on the other, like the music, storytelling, like with Nick, like he could write a one-man show for Matthew McConaughey or something. Like, I mean, it's all like at this point, thanks. At least for me, like the old model is just, it's like were not coming out to shows this last year when I was touring. I played a bunch of fun festivals. It was awesome.
But
Loved
you'd
it.
rather have a place where you could just go all the time. And
Yeah, I'd love like a
Fuck
Largo
yeah.
of the South, you know, like that was LA. Like Largo was a beautiful place. I loved when I got to play there, and like there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of sketch shows and things like that, and I was a guest a lot, which was really fun. I'd get to come in and play a couple songs and then peace out. But in terms of like my family and, I don't want to be away all the time.
Right.
And, like you have to balance all that shit. And
Yeah.
I'm at that point in my life, which is such a blessing. Like I do not look at it as an obstacle. Like the fear-based side of me would be like, oh God, your life is over. But the other part of me that knows what's good for me is like, this is so amazing. I get to wake up with a family and great dogs. And like my mornings are so simple and beautiful. And when I get to tour and when I do tour, it's awesome. But like my priorities are them.
You're just trying to do your art.
And then
if you could do your art locally,
it would be great
for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our idea of opening up the comedy club here too.
Right.
Same thing.
Right. And
you just like an old friend. You just took a hit off that vape pen like it was an old friend.
It is an old friend.
Hello, old friend.
I don't know this one, but I like it. Oh, it's a limited edition.
Oh, limited edition.
This is my kryptonite.
Yeah, those that nicotine gets people.
Thanks. You're a good friend.
It's a good shot.
It sure does. It gives you like a woo.
Yeah, it's
but
an interesting
that one
little
in particular
woo. Yeah.
than other ones. It's so funny. That one is everywhere.
Yeah, they're legit.
Are they?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't like its grip on me.
You said that so convincingly. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you always. You can count on me for that.
I do. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
No, it's a good
we're
place.
both super lucky. We found the thing we do. It's a good life.
It is, but like again, like thanks for bringing me to Austin.
I'm so happy you came.
You really like.
I'm so happy so many people listened to me. I was like, listen, I think we got a way out of this.
Yeah.
But we got abandoned ship. And it was the right call. It really was it's a hard call, but it's an exciting call. Because when you do something new like that and you go to a new environment, it gives you a chance to sort of rethink everything.
Rethink, reset,
new pathways.
reevaluate.
Everything
Yeah.
is different. The town's different. The people are different. The vibe's different. You got a whole new sort of like reset of what your priorities are in life.
Yeah, well, man, I've never associated with the like autopilot, you know. And even if I were in a place where I weren't doing what I do and having this kind of life, like I would want to read, I would want to learn a craft, I would want to become a falconer, you know, all the things. True story.
I believe you.
But like, you know, re-examine my life, contemplate my thoughts, and you know, really just grow. Like, why the fuck not?
Right. Why the fuck not? Yeah.
There's just too much life to live. And also, like, again, like the more I stay away from my phone and all that stuff that takes away from my, you know, my own agency and my person, and like just sit back and like look around, like, you know, I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful. I really am.
Aziz Ansari was talking about that on stage the other night. There's a video of it, of him. He has a flip phone now.
Good for him.
And he's like, I got my brain back.
Yeah.
I got my mind back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how long are you in the bathroom in the morning when you have your phone with you? It's a lot longer than it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You get hemorrhoids from sitting on the toilet for too long. It's bad for you.
I'll like spirit away when I'm like, I gotta pee, and then I'll just be in there sitting
forever.
And you can hear the videos or whatever I'm watching, and I'll hear like, are you watching videos in the bathroom? No.
It's embarrassing.
Leave me alone.
It's as embarrassing as someone asking you if they woke you up. When
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm awake.
I was
like, you always lie.
so funny. I do that all-
Always lie. I was wide awake. I'm wide awake.
Well, I talk in my sleep, and so I'll have like I'll say something, and then I'll realize I said something, and then I'll try to justify it. Like, I meant that. Like, what I just said was like, nope. You're not gonna make fun of me. Like, I
Talking in the sleep's a weird one.
I was singing in my sleep.
Really?
And Nick,
Out loud?
Yeah, I sang in my sleep, and I woke myself up when I woke up Nick, and he was like, shh. And I almost went, you love this song.
That's
We had
hilarious.
this like cross, anyway, I talk in my sleep, and then I try to make it make sense.
Back in my
because I'm embarrassed.
Taekwondo days, I would have Taekwondo dreams. I would
Really?
have kicking dreams. I'd like wake up kicking.
Sounds
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah, I'd wake up like moving very fast in the
Yeah.
sheets.
Yeah.
I was like programming my brain for
my God.
Taekwondo competition. So when I was sleeping, I was having Taekwondo matches in my head.
It's hilarious.
It's true. It's true. I used to have kicking. I'd wake up like in the middle of a kick. Like my whole body would be moving like I was kicking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, while I was asleep.
Yeah. Wow.
It was so stupid.
Programmed.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's like you're programming yourself for something.
Yeah. Well, it's like the song thing. Like
yeah.
it'll
if you're
really
singing in your sleep, if you're thinking about your
Thinking,
songs,
yeah.
and while you're sleeping, you're singing. It makes sense. Totally makes sense. Like, because you're programming your mind
Yeah.
to create songs.
I also do this thing like when there's a burgeoning confrontation on the horizon that needs to be had with somebody, I am having the conversation in my half sleep, like in the wee hours of the morning, and it is like this. It feels haunting. Like it's like, oh fuck, I finally got to do it. Like I got to tell him. I gotta say the thing I just have been avoiding. Like it will keep me up at night, which feels really unfair. I can't just ignore it. It'll like kick me upside the head until I take care of it, and then I sleep like a baby. It's the weirdest thing.
It's probably a good thing though, because if you could just go to sleep whenever you have like real conflicts going on, if they didn't bother you enough, maybe you'd never resolve them.
Correct.
And maybe
Yeah.
that's like some people's problems that they don't accept. Or maybe you don't learn how to accept it. You don't learn how to like think about interpersonal interactions and problems and issues and
I think that
disputes.
I think that's your spirit. That's like clean up.
Yeah.
Go clean up. Your place is a fucking mess.
Yeah, you're creating unnecessary negativity.
Yeah.
There's plenty of necessary negativity out there.
Yeah.
You don't need to create any unnecessary negativity.
100%. Yeah.
And that's like little pieces fall in place when you have conversations, when you're with people. Like you put this there, and then they put that there, and then you're like, but what about this? And then the next thing you know, like a totally unnecessary dispute takes place. It's common things for humans.
Well, to be challenged is a gift in so many ways because
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that, conversation you don't want to have or that thing about yourself you don't like? Like, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna keep getting you. And like, I you get these opportunities to like obtain like a piece of wisdom if you can help it, and it's always through the darker things or the things that are fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And lately I've been so aware of my lineage, like my family tree, and like my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and me, and then, my stepdaughter, and if we have more kids, like where I sit in this line of generational personalities and habits, and where I see the mistakes and where I want to make corrections, and it's really powerful. I mean, you really have to look at yourself and the things you don't like and the things you like or love, and it's a really defining moment lately. Like I just feel my, again, responsibility to what is most important. And there's like, I'm so proud to be from the family I'm from and like the kind of people. And then there's so many things I'm like, oh God, and it feels like a real job to like heal generational wounds and bad habits. And, yeah, I'm just like, because if whatever I can do, I want to give the best things to my children,
Yeah, you're trying to be a good person.
But I come from this really long line of hustlers. Like my great grandmother was a bookie. My great grandfather was a bootlegger. My grandfather was a bookie and a prisoner of war for 2 years in World War II. Like he was shot down from an airplane.
Oh my God.
And like he was a waist gunner, like one of the most dangerous jobs you could have. And he got captured and like he survived an 82-day death march and like made it back home to Cleveland. And like he married my grandmother, who was an excellent cook, and all the money he had from being a bookie, they built these restaurants in Cleveland with my grandma's recipes, and it's amazing. Like the food's so good, and it's like my family legacy, and I'm just fascinated by those people, and I feel really lucky to be their granddaughter.
Yeah, that's a fascinating fucking story.
It's pretty wild.
How did he survive?
Oh man.
How did he survive the crash?
He parachuted out.
So he parachuted out, and then he gets captured.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah. He so he never talked about his experience until he was almost 80. So he didn't tell, like, even my dad, like, nobody knew what my grandfather went through. And he got inspired by somebody to finally tell us what to tell his family. And he took a year doing voice recordings with his sister. I'm pretty sure it was my Aunt Rita, to tell his story. And then, like, one day when I was in LA, when I was 22, I got this book in the mail, and it was his, like, he gave it to our family so we could all know about what his experience in World War II was in being a prisoner of war. And I was bawling. It's like, makes me emotional just talking about it. Like, he had finally had this moment where he felt like it was okay to tell everybody. And it was, like, very polite and sanitized. And then, like, by the end of his life, he really wanted to talk about it more and more in greater detail. But he carried one of his friends during that 82-day march, because I can't remember where they were moving them, but it was, like, you walk for 82 days, like, you can't stop to take a shit or pee, like, you just, like, he had dysentery, he had lice, like, he was filthy. And I, like, actually, shortly before he died, I went to visit him, and he was telling, like, he just wanted to talk and, like, tell me these things. And I remember him saying to me, like, and he, like, looked me in the eye, and he was like, "You do not know filth. You don't know filth." And just being like, if you stopped, they killed you. So you had to keep going. And one of his friends, he carried him. And I remember this old man, because my parents used to send us to Florida, where, like, in the summers, where my grandparents lived. And we'd spend like 2-3 weeks with them. And it was awesome. But, Grandpa was usually watching The Sopranos with his headphones on, and, like, doing his own thing. But, they were so Italian. But his old friend was all, like, I remember, I think it was, I don't want to butcher this, but I think it was his friend, Mr. Dragonetti. And, like, they were friends till their very old age. And, they had this experience together, this horrible experience. But, like, not to, like, ramble on unless you want to hear more about it. Like, I'm just so amazed at that sacrifice and courage and bravery and just fortune to survive, and then to have a life after that. And then I think about somebody posting their fucking video about working too long at Starbucks. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm sorry. Fuck your fucking feelings. Like, you're going to be fine,
People are very soft.
They are.
But there's that expression, I love to repeat it, that the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yes.
And it seems like microtransgressions are a big deal if that's all you're experiencing.
Yeah.
But if you've been through a horrible life experience like your grandfather did, you'd have a completely different perspective about what's important in life.
Well,
because that would be, like, the worst thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
It's just like most people's. We are very fortunate to live the way we live now.
Correct.
Whereas most of our interactions with other people are peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
That's so rare in human history.
I used to feel really strongly about, and I still feel like this to a degree, but I used to feel really strongly about other people's experiences being really difficult for them. Like, what's the worst for you is the worst for you.
Right.
And being like, man, that must be really hard for you. I'm really sorry. Like, not sorry, but like, I don't think that's a big deal, but it's a big deal for you.
Right.
Or, whoever you
Yes.
is. And, like, but at this point, like, the reckless, flagrant emotions and encouragement to be soft and not, like, grow from your journey and learn from your suffering, like, the encouragement to exploit your suffering is so foul to me. Like, there's a way through. It's not that. And, like, I understand that those moments, like the video I was just talking about, where someone's having a hard day and complaining about, their limited skill set in life, emotionally speaking, I kind of lost my empathy for that kind of thing. Like, we should know better than that.
Yeah, but there's
Everybody's having a
also-
hard time. Everybody's working.
The problem is social media, because that
Correct.
would be a normal thing that a person would do.
Sure.
Like,
that
fuck
would just
these
be like
hours
a bad
at
day.
Starbucks, and you would tell your friend. But now you're telling your friend on TikTok,
Right.
and you're tagging people, and people share it because it's ridiculous.
Well, it becomes this convoluted thing that is very influential and discouraging in terms of like finding the way through.
Yeah.
So, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to not work as much, and then you're not going to have as much money, and you're not going to be able to take care of yourself. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's
Yeah.
so on its head.
But the worst thing that could happen is that something would shake us out of it. The worst thing that could happen was like a world event would shake us out of it.
Nuclear war?
Yeah, like a nuclear war, like no bullshit. Like that's so possible right now. It's so possible. It's more possible than it has ever been in our lifetimes
Well,
since the Cold War.
There's so many different ways it's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And
All of it is fucking super sketchy. All of it is, it fills you with anxiety because you feel completely powerless to these world events that are going on.
well, you're not
know,
powerless. Like the best thing you can do is what you're doing, keep making comedy and like keep making music. Like that's the best you can do. And also, P.S., you are like, you're one of the best ones for the platform for getting people informed and or inspiring people and just hanging out with your friends. Like you have the whole one-stop shop. So technically you're doing a lot. Me, I'm just writing songs in the basement.
Oh, you're doing a lot when you're on here. But it's not even doing a lot. It's like what most people would be doing. They could just talk to each other. You know, the beautiful thing
That
about
is
being
true.
able to do this show is just to be able to talk to people. All sorts of different people. I had a farmer on yesterday.
Really?
He was fucking fascinating. This guy,
Where?
Will Harris from White Oaks Pasture. It's in Georgia, right? It's a farm in Georgia. It's a regenerative farm. He turned it from an industrialized farm
Okay.
into a regenerative farm over 20 years.
What's I don't know what a regenerative
The
farm is.
difference between using external herbicides and pesticides and all sorts of shit that's like makes it much easier to farm, but it's toxic ultimately for the land.
Okay.
And so he went over the details of like why he did, what he learned, and
Interesting.
how he went from transitioning this family farm that he had inherited, which was traditionally like, you know, the way industrialized farms are working. They put all this industrialized fertilizer everywhere, and then it gets in the rainwater. It's fucking terrible.
No, I know.
So they decided to turn it around, and it took like 20 years. He said.
Wow.
Yeah, and just what it's done to the soil and the way so everything works in a natural cycle. Like the way he describes it, I think, is like mimicking a natural cycle.
I mean, that's where we're at. Like nothing is what it like the same salmon you're eating now is not the same salmon from 20 years ago because
Right.
we've had like all kinds of farming and it's cross, bred.
Yes.
And so like all the species have changed. They've evolved into whatever they are now. And, they're like, I mean, I guess that's the way through. Like they also have poly farming. Have you ever heard about that?
Sure.
And
Yeah, Polyface Farms is Joel Salatin's place.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast a couple
Oh,
of
really?
times.
Cool.
That guy drinks out of troughs where cows drink so he can get the biome
Holy shit.
for his immune
I
system.
wonder how long it took to adapt to that.
Yo.
I mean, was he in the bathroom for like a month or what?
What were the hard days?
Oh,
Tell me
Jesus
what the
Christ.
hard days were, Joel. Because I would imagine
He's like,
you would have
Joe,
diarrhea.
I don't have a butthole anymore.
You would want to send a raven with that diarrhea story. You're gonna put a
cannot.
scroll on a raven's
That
foot.
was my first thought. I was like, that guy was in the bathroom for at least 4 weeks.
forever. What kind of diarrhea does that give you? Oh my god, he's drinking water that the cows drink out of.
I mean, you're going to get some parasites. Like, actually, that sounds pretty.
He was one of the first guys who like was completely dismissive of COVID in that way. He wasn't worried about it at all. He's like, I take care of my immune system,
No,
and he supplements.
Doesn't
his immune
sound
system.
surprising.
Whoa! But what if he's right? What if he's right? Like, what if? I mean, that's the thing about like little kids. You'll see, like when they're really little, especially, they touch everything. They put everything in their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
where'd
it's
this
almost
come from?
like they're trying to do that. They're
Right.
trying to like medicate themselves to
Right,
the
just
world.
naturally. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
maybe.
think it's natural. I think it must be. because
there's
they're
a balance.
exposing themselves to dirt and grime. And the more kids, when kids do that, I wonder, my question would be like, is keeping them sanitary bad for their immune system? And is keeping them, like letting them put whatever in their mouth, dangerous to them because some things are toxic? Like, what's the fine line?
I think it's overcorrection with sanitizing, and also it's both. It's both
It's
because you
both,
have to
right?
factor in the like super bugs that have formed from all of our antibiotics and our antibiotic resistance and like
Dude,
I mean
right
it's
when I was starting to relax, you got to hit me with superbugs.
shit. Okay, let's go back. Let's keep talking about
That stuff is terrifying. Like MRSA, medication-resistant staph. Oof.
No, I was paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake and I like fell in hard and like all this water went up my nose and I was like, I hope I don't get an amoeba. For like 2 days, I was like, keep me on amoeba watch.
Dude, people get amoebas.
I know.
They get brain parasites.
Look, but we're here now, okay? And like so far, I'm pretty sure my brain doesn't have a parasite.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, but only time will tell.
I've had several friends that got parasites.
Yeah.
Overseas.
Well, I'm actually I'm doing a 4-month parasite cleanse, and you don't have to change your diet. It's supplements you take, and
shouldn't you check to
friends-
see if you actually have a parasite first?
So it's also a heavy metal detox. It's kind of a bunch of things, and that's a side to
Is all
it.
that stuff real?
So my very dear friends that have done this have told me about the parasites that came out of their body in month 2 or 3.
Can you do, as a heavy metal detox, is that a real thing? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Is that possible? What do you do? Is that a real thing, Jamie?
What do I do for it?
No, what can anybody do?
There's a
It's like-
joke in here. Heavy metal detox.
Yeah.
Start
had,
listening to Sade.
I had arsenic in my system at one point in time.
Okay, I'm
Because
sure.
I was eating too many sardines.
What, really?
Yeah.
How many sardines were you eating, Joe?
I was eating a lot.
Jesus Christ.
I was eating cans of them a day.
That's too many.
I know. And so the guy that easily could be it because it was like trace
Were you married
amounts.
at this point?
No.
Because I
no.
was like, how much making
But
out were you doing?
It was just eating sardines.
That's-
They're living in pollution.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're at the bottom of the water. And
Okay.
that's where all the heavy metals and stuff, I
Yeah.
guess, sit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we were talking about your farmer friend who was on yesterday.
Yeah.
Like the whole ecosystem and landscape is fucked, whether it's from pesticides and that kind of thing or mining. I was fly fishing on the Clark Fork River in Montana. It's beautiful. Like no cell service. Ospreys, eagles, like all of it, you name it, gorgeous, pristine, not a piece of trash for miles. But you can't eat the fish in the river because of these mines that were leaking in the 80s that were like all kinds of mercury. I don't know if it's mercury, but like whatever they were leaking has infected the entire river, and you cannot eat the fish.
Oh no.
But you wouldn't know it looking at it. It doesn't look polluted. It doesn't look like trash. It's just.
Do you really need to do a parasite cleanse?
Uh-oh, are you gonna call me out?
It's highly unlikely that you have intestinal parasites. But even if you do, a home remedy won't do much.
Well, I'll keep you posted.
I don't
This is
know.
Consumer Reports from July.
Yeah.
Oh, that's recently.
Yeah.
That might be horseshit.
Fuck. It was expensive.
The thing is, it's like if
thank you. I was
you
gonna ask.
actually do have a parasite, like then there's
Well,
like very specific
here's
medication
here's
that
a
you should
story.
take.
So, during our fearful COVID, all the shit, not this September, but 2021, I had some touring to do, and a friend of mine with their very fancy doctor in Hollywood, like top of the top, asked about, hey, do you have any preventative COVID measures, and also if we get COVID, what should we take? And so I'd been having stomach issues for a really long time, and Ways to Well helped me discover that I had a bacteria called H. pylori. So I had to
yeah, I've
take
heard of that.
I had to take antibiotics, and I tried the natural stuff, and then finally I kicked it, but I still was like sick for a while. And I
What
kept
causes that?
it's like a bacteria that like we have staph and we have all the stuff, and some of our immune systems just like get overtaken by it, and I was one of them. So I mean I was sick for like a year.
Whoa.
Like my stomach hurt. I got to a point where I was just drinking broth. Like that was, and even
Jesus
then, like
Christ.
I was just uncomfortable.
Here it is. Helicobacter pylori.
H. pylori.
H.
Yeah.
pylori. Infection occurs when H. pylori bacteria infects your stomach. This usually happens during childhood. A common cause of stomach ulcers, peptic
Playing with that
ulcers.
dirt.
Whoa, this is the downside, right?
Right.
Infection may present in more than half the people in the world. Most people don't realize they have H. pylori infection because they never get sick from it.
Well,
if
you get
develop
heartburn.
Signs or symptoms of a peptic ulcer, your healthcare provider will probably test you for H. pylori infection. A peptic ulcer is a sore of the lining of the stomach, gastric ulcer, or the first part of the small intestine. Whoa.
So
So
listen,
you could be just walking around with that and have no
for
idea
sure.
you have
yeah.
it.
Yeah. And supposedly it's contagious, but who knows? Like
Whoa.
our immune systems fight stuff off all the time. But so I was really sick. Ways to Well, another shout out, helped me get my, they figured out, because I was deficient in all these vitamins that I took every day. And they're like, there's a reason your body's not absorbing all these things you're taking. So let's run this test. So then I kicked the H. pylori, but I was still uncomfortable for a while. And I was like, fuck, my stomach hurts all the time. And so the fancy doctor in LA recommended COVID preventative, ivermectin, and heparin, which is a blood thinning nasal spray, because COVID is a blood clotting virus. So I take the nasal spray. I mean, I was around thousands of people and I hug everybody. Like, I am very present in the physical world. And I didn't get COVID, but I took the ivermectin and my stomach stuff went away and it was like I'd never felt better. So maybe I had a parasite, because, ivermectin is a anti-parasitic.
Yeah, that's
So-
the main use of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And whatever it was like a miracle.
Wow.
Because after that, I was like, woo! I felt so good. But, I apparently have these intolerances, stuff I'm working on, but it's fascinating.
Well, that sounded like you had an infection.
I did. I
But
was sick.
I mean, that is a wild thing. That's like an invading army attacking your defense systems. You have like a little life form
it was
inside
really
of you.
scary. I felt like alien. I was bummed.
It's like you've got a little war going on in your body.
Kind of.
Like that's what staph is like. Staph, like you have a little you get a staph infection, like, oh, you got a war going on.
Have you had a staph infection?
Oh yeah, I've had
Really?
a few. Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah.
Scary.
It's a common occurrence with grappling because you get
Oh, yeah, 'cause you're
scratched
just-
and you're
yeah.
rolling around and choking each other and shit.
Right, right.
And then all of a sudden you'll like see something on your shin. You're like, what is that?
That would make sense why you have the superbug fear, because
Yeah.
like physical contact and all that stuff. And
Well, I don't have the superbug fear. I just have I did a show with Duncan back in the day where we went to the Center for Disease Control in Galveston, and they were explaining us the
Center for Disease Control,
yeah.
the one
Yeah.
is in Galveston.
Yeah, there's a lab
crazy.
they have down in Galveston. And it's
What'd you think of
I
Galveston?
think it's the Center for Disease Control. Whoever works on the viruses,
It's the Galveston National Laboratory, Biodefense Lab.
Biodefense Lab. So we go down there, and they're explaining to us that what they're really concerned about is not like man-made viruses. What they're really concerned about is like something just jumping from animals to people that's
Sure.
like super deadly.
Yeah.
Like the Black Plague, like the Spanish flu, like there's some that are just walloping where they kill like a giant swaths of
Microscopic
people.
world. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, we're always like constantly trying to work to prevent that from happening. And that's when you get the scope of it. You're like, oh my God, like this is like at any moment in time, nature could just throw us the wildest curveball.
Yeah.
And especially when you incorporate like what happens with animal agriculture, where a lot of the viruses develop and do jump from people.
Well, and we fucked with nature so much, like
Oh, yeah.
manipulating science in this way that it feels. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like to doomsday. I'm like, I want to enjoy my time, but it's scary. And
I'm not necessarily doomsdaying, but I am saying like we got to look at this thing. Like this is what we're doing is wild. We're having a little battle with nature. We're trying to trick it and bottle it up and make antibiotics.
well, you
and all
hunt.
These, yeah.
You're out there, right? Like a while ago, like a long time ago. I tried to surf when I lived in Venice Beach, and I remember being out there and just being in the ocean in this like, this thing could end me like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just from the monsters in there, but like it's just sheer brute force.
Yeah.
And like we are like nothing. You can just flick us off.
Yeah.
You know, like and so with that said, like much respect.
Much respect.
Much respect.
Much respect, surfers.
No, I mean like the force of our
The
planet.
force of the nature,
and
too.
like,
Yeah.
you know, Mother Gaia, whatever
Oh,
you want
my
to call
God.
it. Like it and it'll let you know.
Oh, easy. And it's doing nothing. It's not even trying. It's not even trying, and just a little bit of undertow, and you're like, oh shit, I can't get back to the shore.
We watched Armageddon the other day. Other 90s throwback. And I mean, how do you not think like
That could happen.
this could happen?
It 100% could happen. It's happened
Yeah.
so many times.
It's already happened.
It's
Yeah.
happened so many times.
Yeah.
There was one that we're just talking about recently in the news that you can watch this giant comet whiz by Earth soon.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think
great.
Nick and I were dating for like 2 weeks when we we were just so in love. Like we just kind of had that like I see you moment. Like we knew.
Avatar.
And I told him, I was like, I'm going to be staring into your eyes when the end of the world comes.
I almost want to be like right there doing that. Like you don't want to be a survivor.
I've thought about
leave
that
to
too.
hardier folk.
Like the part of me, like I'm not trying to sound egotistical. There's a part of me that feels like I'm going to be one of the last ones standing, but I
course.
don't want to be. I don't want that.
Of course,
don't-
everybody feels like that.
I don't want it.
I feel like if something happens like that, we will be knocked so far back into the past so quickly that you almost don't want to be alive for it. Because it's going to take so long for people to figure out civilization again. And I think that's happened a fuckload of times, kids. I am having Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson come on the podcast this month to talk
That's fun.
about that very thing.
Awesome.
And these guys have been studying this for fucking decades. And there are two coinciding theories about what happened seem to be based on this thing called the Younger Dryas impact theory, where they think somewhere around 12,000 years ago we got hit by comets. And that there was a very advanced civilization before that, and it got wiped out. And so
Sure.
everything that we see from like 6,000 years ago, like Babylonia and like the Sumerian texts and all that stuff is coming from people reinventing things thousands of years later. So if
Yeah.
this is like 6,000 years after the impact, so if there's 12,000 years ago, we get pelted by giant rocks, and then they do core samples. They go down 12,000 years, and they find this high level of iridium, which is really common in space and really rare on Earth, and it usually signifies an asteroid impact. And they find that shit all over at 12,000 years. So when they get to this point, it's almost like there's irrefutable evidence that something happened, and that something was so big that it might have reset civilization. Human beings might have been really advanced at one point in time, like really advanced. If you see what they did in Egypt, and you realize
Oh, yeah,
that
I
at
think
the
about that stuff all the time.
earliest,
Yeah.
at the earliest, that was 4,000, 5,000 years ago. At the earliest, but it might have been way earlier than that. That stuff might have been a remnant of an ancient civilization that was far more advanced than we are right now. It just got knocked into the Stone Age. We just don't think that can happen. But fuck, it could happen.
Yeah.
For sure it could
Yeah.
happen.
Well, I think there's this weird immortality that comes with the vapid lifestyle of technology and the way that people forget the depths of existence and then therefore forget how finite we are.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like, I mean, you kind of get to the like God place there. You know, there's this like, I feel so sad for people that don't dig into themselves and dig into this stuff and think about the enormity of our existence. And like, your life is so short. It goes so fast. And, you know, you're missing it from your negligence to ground yourself. Like, you're missing it with your self-importance. You're missing it with your narcissism.
Yeah.
And you're this. Like, this is not the world. Like, it's so sad to me. And I think, like, in terms of what you're talking about, there's like this really fine line between that scientific and theoretical idea of intelligent life before us, and knowing that, like, we were given this chance and we're fucking it up.
But we're not necessarily fucking it up. I think it's just a process. That's what I think. I don't think we're fucking it up. I think there's a process.
I don't mean to sound negative.
No, you're not negative. You're recognizing real problems.
Well, I'm looking at the world around me because I'm actually like an optimist eternally. Like I'm such a, like, here's where the sunshine is. Like, this is where it's beautiful. This is where things are good. Like, let's get there. Like, we can do this. And then I just look at the amount of people that value Kim Kardashian's plastic surgery, or whatever it is you're obsessing over that you think is valuable. Like, that stuff is very sad to me. And
well, it's because we're not faced with big threats. When you're
Sure.
not faced with big threats, you focus on trivial things. When something big happens, that's when everybody puts the American flag on their car.
But wouldn't you call all the stuff that's happening big?
It is, but it's not big enough. The news cycle is so fucked. The news cycle's so fucked that every day there's like 15 new outrages and 5 new conspiracy theories, and then there's a new crime, and then there's a new mass shooting, and then there's a car accident,
Right,
and there's a
right,
plane crash.
right.
And it's just constant, but you're getting battered by information. So even like the Ukraine-Russia thing, people are like, boring, done with it, over 200 days, and then they have their narratives, Ukraine's winning, no, Russia's holding off till the winter. Like, it's almost like they're fucking calling a sport.
But they say it like we actually know what's going on.
Yeah, I have no idea unless
I
you're
don't
there.
either. And
I
like,
mean, I'm sure we're getting some correct information. I'm not discarding the information. I'm just saying I'm not totally aware.
yeah, but you also factor in wag the dog, like you factor in the technological manipulation. Like, you can make anything look like anything.
Do you think they've actually gone to that? Do you think like there's governments that have actually like
Absolutely.
made fake videos?
Absolutely.
Let's not say America, because of course we wouldn't do that, right? But for sure, there's got to be like some fake
100%.
news footage.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Wasn't
been proven.
like at the
It's been proven.
beginning of the Ukraine war, wasn't there a video that was going around? It was like a viral video, and people were like, look, the jet got shot down in Ukraine, and people found out it's actually a scene from a video game.
I don't know about
Wasn't that true, Jamie? What
But
was that story?
the minute
That's
actors,
exactly what you said, I believe. I was about to pull it up if you didn't say it.
Did someone do it as a goof, or was it like?
That would be way too hard to know without digging way deep who did that and why they did it. But like, they had the ghost of Kiev was like the ace shooting down everyone.
but that's how susceptible everyone is to this shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what's real,
Right.
But I do know it's really fucked up when actors are flying over to the Ukraine and talking like they know what's going on and promoting something. Like,
Yeah. What?
what the fuck are those people doing over there? I'm like, I'm mad.
Well, I can understand them realizing that this is a giant moment in human history.
Why is Jessica Chastain representing the United States?
Who's that?
She's an actress.
Oh, I don't know who she is. What's she on?
A bunch of stuff.
Okay. Would I know her by visual?
Mad Men?
Oh, okay.
No.
No?
No.
Wrong one.
Okay.
Wrong redhead. Doesn't matter.
There you go.
Don't give her attention. It's annoying. Like, like, what the fuck is she doing over there? I'm serious.
I don't know. Maybe she's lending her voice, her considerable social media
This
following.
is when my war with Jessica Chastain starts. Let's
Oh my
go.
God. This is Drunk Suzanne, my favorite Suzanne. Oh, okay.
Is that your favorite Suzanne?
Yeah, for sure. My favorite Suzanne's a little high, a little drunk. Isn't
That's
that your
fair.
favorite, everybody?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much I liked weed until now.
Really? Oh, I love it.
But it's like
What I missed the most during Sober October, for sure.
2 hits. But, I mean, I'm always having fun with Nick. Like, we're always laughing. But, like, if we smoke a little before bed, it's so fun.
I know. It's the best.
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
That's a beautiful thing that you found that.
Oh my God.
It's nice.
I love him so much.
So happy. I'm so happy to hear it.
Thanks.
It's such an important thing for people. Some people never find it. You never get lucky. And so a lot of it is that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There's a lot of weird luck in life. You say you attract things in life, but are you sure? People talk about like The Secret and Law of Attraction. Are you sure? Are you sure you're attracting things? How much of this is random?
I think, yes, we attract certain things and each other, but like trying to make a book out of it is you're just going to lose me. Like at that point, like
you're trying to define something that you haven't definitely defined. Like whatever that quality is that does allow people to visualize things and make them happen.
Right.
There's a lot of other factors there, kids.
Yeah.
A lot of other factors. There's action. They've done things.
Well, I've been that person who like figured something out and I want to tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
Guess what? Like this is the like Carl Jung.
But it is
like,
a
here's
factor in it.
Sure, but
Right?
But that's where like be cool about it.
Yeah, be cool about it. Don't pretend you
Just write it out.
Don't pretend it's like a secret.
Right.
And don't pretend it's
not
like
a secret.
thing that you
Everybody's
can
got
teach
it.
people how to do.
That's
if you
it.
want to you want to learn how to do it, learn from people that did it.
Right.
That's the best way. That's the secret. That's the
Right.
secret. Learn
yeah.
from then you talk to them and go, "Oh, Suzanne's a regular human and she figured out how to be a professional musician. How the fuck can I do that?" Talk to that. That's the secret. That's
Yeah. Well, I'm still figuring it out. So.
but you know what you're doing. It's not. If I was a kid and I believed that I could manifest everything just with my mind, and I didn't know that there was like significant amount of work involved.
Most kids believe that now.
That's such a crippling mentality.
it is.
One of the things about being a teenager in Boston was that Massachusetts is so hardcore work ethic. Those fucking people work. And one of the reasons why is because you have to shovel snow for many months of the year. You're doing real hard labor at your fucking house.
You got to scrape your windshield out. Yeah.
So many people have blown their back out shoveling their fucking driveway.
Me. I've
A
done
lot.
it. Oh yeah.
People get
As a
slit
teenager.
discs. You get fucking. It's a lot of work.
It's so much work.
To go from no work to that. Well, if you don't do that, you don't get out. And if you don't do it soon, it becomes ice.
That's a great analogy.
There's a part of surviving a thing that happens every year. Like the winters in Boston are fucking harsh.
Sure.
They're
Cleveland
harsh.
too, yeah.
And you get that water off the ocean. So you get that salt water cold that just cuts through your
It cuts right through you.
bones.
Yeah. You lose your breath. You can't even breathe. It's
Yeah.
so cold.
It's fucking cold.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen every year. And you're gonna get ice and you're gonna get black ice on the roads where it rains first. And then the whole road is a fucking ice
And
skating
you have to know
rink.
how to drive on it.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm
yeah.
a winter baby. I love it.
It's real.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
know.
different kind of person.
I know.
Those are some of my favorite people that come
Yeah.
from winter places. I'm not bullshitting.
That's
Because
awesome.
I think California is like being a trust fund baby, weather-wise.
Oh, sure.
Like everything's fine. It's
Yeah.
always fine.
You don't have to
it's
work that
perfectly
hard.
fine. And when it is raining, like, oh my God, it's raining again. Like, bitch, it's rained 3 days this year. The fuck are you saying?
I'm losing my tan.
They're so accustomed to that it really does fuck with your character development.
Sure.
It doesn't limit
Yeah.
you. Like you can still develop a great character doing other stuff and difficult things, but you're not going to get that one essential thing out of nature.
I think this speaks to a mutual aversion to the softies.
Yeah.
You gotta fucking toughen up, and but you can't
But
toughen up
for
if
yourself,
you don't know what that means.
For yourself, not just for us, but for yourself.
Sure.
Like you have to. It's important for everybody.
But like to like kind of spiral back to things we were talking about before, like they can't do that if they don't know what that feels like. You don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And the proverbial cold within us, like you have to know how to weather a storm. If you've never been through a real storm, then how would you know?
It's humbling when everyone's stranded at home and you look out the window and all you see is white.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And it's
But you have to go
so
in too. You have to sit with
quiet.
yourself. You can't play outside. I'm an outdoor kid. You can't do that shit.
A lot of times the power goes out.
Oh yeah.
Power
like,
goes out a lot. And
Oh my
everybody's
God.
huddled around with candles and shit.
like I had you have to have gear too. You have to have snow pants and boots and all that
you
stuff.
have to have
and
boots. You can't be going out there with sneakers. You fucking idiot. You're going to freeze to death. You're going to lose a foot.
I have been to many a Browns game in Cleveland.
Oh.
Just
Huddled.
you have like those little like those things you like smack, those warmers you put in your boots.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you lose again.
Yeah.
You have to sit with the sinking feeling of defeat.
While you're freezing your dick off. Yeah. It's cold weather people are different fucking people. They really are. That's like why Canadians are so hardy.
Oh,
Those motherfuckers have to deal with cold.
look at that.
Yeah.
Jamie, you know.
I just feel like people that have to go through shit like that together,
Yeah.
there's like a bonding experience in surviving the winter. And the only reason all these humans can survive the winter is because people are smart enough to figure out shelters. Like, you can't be homeless there. Like, that is, like, right there with that weather, you're fucked.
You know,
that tent's not going to make
From
it.
all the exciting things I've got to do in my life and places I've lived, still to this day, whenever I go home to Cleveland, I am met and confronted with the most interesting, humbled, fascinating, funniest, salt of the earth kind of people. And
Real people.
yeah.
They have to deal with real shit.
But, you know, lacking a precious thing. Like, they're just like, hey, cheers. Nice
Right.
to meet you. You know, like, but there's a lot of disillusioning kind of places like New York and LA. Like, they're these meccas of art and culture but then, you know, they've kind of been overrun by ideologies that can be damaging. But you can't say that about Boston or Cleveland or, you know, sort of, I mean, I guess you could. Boston's a little different.
Boston's pretty liberal.
Yeah. It's a lot
Yeah.
different than
Maybe they're hardier liberals, though.
Hardy's the good. That's the thing. I'm kind of like babbling right now, but hardy is a good word for it.
You have to overcome nature if you live in a cold climate. That's a real thing. It's a real
But there's a
change of the
psychological
world.
and emotional
Yeah.
thing that that's really
Yeah.
well done, man.
Just like the people that live next to the ocean. That feeling that you have in the ocean, the same feeling.
Sure.
It's like you ain't shit.
Great.
You ain't
Great.
shit.
Yeah.
It's snowed out.
You're not
You ain't shit. There's the ocean.
And you have to be smart. Like, don't
Yeah.
go out there this day. Like, don't drive into
Yep.
this blizzard. You might fucking die.
You might fucking die.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna come and rescue you,
No,
bitch.
no, you
Don't
can't.
think you're gonna be
they
safe.
can't get to you.
Yeah. Don't even go out.
It's funny.
Yeah, there's times where you're
Well
told to
said.
not leave.
Oh yeah.
Those are
I've
fucking
always-
bonding moments for communities. They
oh,
really
yeah.
are. You're faced with a threat. You're like, hey, do you guys need anything?
Absolutely.
You know, hey, we got this, we got that. You know, Hank shot a deer.
I played in Telluride, Colorado this summer, and which is so pretty up there. And one of the they have a festival that they have one of them, and the Ride Fest. And I had this runner who was like taking us back down the mountain. It's like 2 hours, an hour and a half, or something like that. And he lived in this community that was, you know, an hour or so from Telluride, and he was telling me about all their like septic stuff and like electricity even, and they all had to take care of each other. He lived in this small little town that if something went wrong, it went wrong for everyone. And they had to like hey, what tools do you need? Like how do you want to get through this? And I mean, it's really funny. You know, you don't know until you've lived something like that. Like, you don't know until you've had those like really scary storms or winters where you really do need to help each other, and then it becomes very logical. And we're very sheltered from that. Most places don't have those experiences, you know, and because you don't need to advertise it. It's how you live.
It's just how you live, and it makes a stronger human, more resilient human.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I think it's a part of the problem with living in Los Angeles. It's not. There's so many factors that make living in Los Angeles fucked. There's the sheer number of people, which of course also equals a sheer number of a lot of really interesting people. You know, it's a lot of cool people there.
Sure.
No doubt.
Well,
a lot
it's very
of great
beguiling.
restaurants and great things.
It's a beautiful place.
Yes, beautiful place. But you got a lot of fucking people. There's so many. There's so many.
Well, and then you have to factor in like the people that have like exploded from YouTube or something
Yeah.
like really easy that didn't
Sure.
involve
That's toxin to all those people
talent
that have been
or-
working hard and haven't made it. You motherfuckers.
Well-
it's toxic.
I'm of the mindset of like whatever propagates joy, but to the extent of it being valuable joy and like with depth, not like a cheap thrill.
Right. It doesn't have to be though. Like that. The thing about all these things is they're attracting people, and why are they attracting me? There's a lot of dumb shit that's attracting me. It's still getting me. I'm still watching dumb shit.
Yeah, but you know better. Like you.
Do I though?
I don't know. I mean, you're like you just.
I'm watching the dumb shit.
Yeah, but you. How many people come see you perform? Like you have to stay up on your intellectual comedy.
Oh,
and,
I have to
and,
keep
like,
watching dumb shit.
Well, sure. But like the execution of what you've ingested and then the way you deliver through your craft involves a specific skill to you. You're not asleep at the wheel.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I do I do waste time on nonsense. For sure. What I was going to get at is that there's all these different factors that are fucked up about LA. And that weather thing is a big part of it. But another big part of it is that everybody goes there to try to make it. And so when you go there, you're trying to get hired for something. So you're always kind of putting on this act of who you want people to think you are. And they only talk in like a certain ideological lingo. It's like very progressive-y, right?
Well, you have to factor in that like this like get rich quick because of like being beautiful or like Pam Anderson or something. Like
that sort of gets injected into things.
But that's been happening for so long.
But not
And-
like now.
Not like now. But now it's ubiquitous. Now it's just omnipresent. Like you
Right.
can't
They're more popular.
Now it's you get rich for a week and then people forget about you.
For some of them, but then there's people like the Kardashians. They got a grip on it.
But they got in early.
It's true.
They
Early
started their
adopters.
bullshit a long time ago.
But there's been some people that like got pretty popular and then people got tired of them.
I
Right?
mean,
You got it like for whatever they're doing, whatever voodoo the Kardashians have done to the American and the world people, they're fucking really good at it. People are still watching. That's some good voodoo. If
Are
that's
they?
all you're selling, yes. If that's all you're selling
I think
is
what they're
watch
selling
me.
is immortality at this point. Like they're trying to show you how like
No, that's
you
what
can have the
Madonna's
same
selling.
face for so long.
Madonna's selling
Oh God,
immortality.
she terrifies me. It's
Have you seen her
Oh,
new
yeah.
Instagram photos? That's how old is she?
60 something. I'm wondering
If
when
she
somebody
really looks like that,
I'm wondering if anyone cares about her
Congratulations.
at all.
I do.
Then call her.
I don't know her that well at all. I don't know her at all.
I'm
But if
wondering
I
if-
did know her at all, I'd say if that's what you really look like, I get it.
I wonder
Show it off.
if she has one friend that's like, hey, I think you need some help.
No, I'm the wrong friend because I'd be like, keep posting. I'd be like, more pictures. Let's go. Let's go, Madonna. Where did she? There was one where her was like, she was kind of in her underwear.
What I'm interested in is like, or
Did she
not
take it
interested
down?
in, is why do people care who Madonna's fucking? She wants to talk about being gay or whatever. Like we care. Like just go fuck them. Go do what you want to do.
Well, I mean,
why do you have to
she's-
talk about it to
She's
everyone?
maintaining relevance.
No, what
to a certain
she
extent.
wants to be a sex symbol, and the time's passed. And like, look, you can do other things, but like to
But
be.
does she want to be a sex symbol,
Why-
or does she want to be Madonna? Is that how she feels alive, expressing herself?
Listen,
Sticking her booty up in the air and having them big titties flop around.
like I said, Dolly Parton.
The image she posted up, if you can't find it, maybe they took it down. If she really looks like that, she looks fucking great.
Who, Madonna?
Yes, for however old she is.
I am in strong disagreement. Her face scares the
64.
shit out of me. 64.
Wow. I hear that AC/DC song right now. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Look, I have appreciated Madonna's contributions to our music and culture, but like there's a time
That's how it goes, playing in a band.
when you got to hang up your hat and stop putting your boobies in people's faces if they don't want to see them.
Well, maybe some people do. She's obviously got some young fellas that still enjoy them.
Then that is a strange fetish that I do
she's
not
the
understand.
Dan Bilzerian of the female Instagram influencer. Look at her. She looks hot as fuck. If that's what she looks like, fuck yeah. Congratulations. If you can really look like that at 64, I don't know what
how
glasses
doctored
I
is
have
that
to put
photo?
on.
How doctored?
Listen,
You don't know how
stop
smooth that shit looks.
ruining everything.
You're not.
All I need is some They Live
I guarantee
sunglasses.
some weird puckering in weird places, Joe.
I guarantee that's the future of AR. You're going to put on glasses, and the person that you're with is going to look as perfect as you need them to be.
That is so fucked.
That's what we're going to do. People are going to
Yeah.
get mad if
I
you only want to
the-
have sex
I
with them with the glasses
I
on.
want the real thing.
Yeah, some people are going to get mad, though. Take your glasses off, goddammit. I want you to see the real me. Like, no. Yeah. Who are you really? Who you're fucking in those
Oh my God,
glasses?
the guest book, the show I did a while back where Honey Honey, we did the music for it. I think Joey Diaz is in that episode, but there's this episode with I think it's Heather Donahue, a friend of mine, where like her husband has an addiction to VR and they're like having
Oh,
sex
God.
with VR goggles and there's this whole story going on where he's somebody and she's somebody, but she,
Oh
she
my
accidentally
God.
kills him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's great. But
That's hilarious.
but I'm sure that happens.
It's 100% going to happen if it hasn't happened already. If it hasn't happened already, it's 100% going to happen.
I kind of feel that's it.
Oh, that's right. Joey takes over.
Sorry. You're doing it all wrong. You gotta work the ball.
No. Stop. Stop.
He picks the wrong video.
I can't look away.
Oh, my God.
Let go of my balls.
Anyway, at the outro, I'm pretty sure you'll hear me singing on that episode.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's so ridiculous.
I mean, Joe, that is some people's reality.
I think there's going to be a lot of people in the future that are living life virtually, and more than we can even imagine. I think it's going to get so good.
I think there's also going to be a lot of people that are bad at sex because they learned through their phones and not through natural like discourse of life.
Well, they think that's already probably fucking up kids' wiring.
Absolutely.
They're seeing that kind of sex all
Porn
the time.
addictions and stuff. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's fucking the whole human internet technology interface situation is so strange to me because it most definitely enhances our ability to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of it? It's definitely enhancing your life somewhat. It's giving you some interesting entertainment. You can listen to a book on tape. You can learn stuff from your phone. You can ask it questions and get answers.
You have to
There's
be able to check
benefit.
yourself. Like, I think that's the thing. It's like there's benefits and there's like egregious downsides that can fuck you up.
Right,
Like
but-
you just have to know how to handle yourself. It's like handle your
sure.
booze.
Handle your booze. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Because it's all candy in some ways.
But my point is, it seems to keep going in the same direction always. It doesn't seem to be slowing down, and it's not going to. It goes into the
That's where the
direction.
nuclear war comes in.
That's the only thing to save us.
I hope not.
No, but it seems like that's where it's going. It's going to like a deeper infusion into what it is to be a person, to a point where it's a part of your body, and I don't think it's that far away. I think once they do start implementing that, it's going to be so beneficial to the people that have it that everyone's just going to jump on board. I think it's going to happen radically, and I don't think we're prepared for what the fuck that means. Because
I agree.
I think it's going to happen in our lifetime. I think in our life, just like when we were kids, there was no internet. Now the world's a totally different place. I think
it's
that's going
happening
to
now.
happen with a human neural interface. I think they're going to create something and they're going to improve upon it. It's going to get better and better. And there's going to be a way of interacting with your mind and the internet and all the people around you.
I mean, I think that's already happening.
Kind of is. It kind of is. But I think it's going to happen like to human beings. And it's going to be one of those things just like a phone. If you imagine when we were kids, like I grew up in the 80s, you grew up in the 90s. When I was a kid, I was in high school in 1981. I could have never imagined everyone would be carrying a phone.
Right.
The idea that you could get a hold of someone who's just out.
Right.
You
Right.
had to talk to people.
Right. You had to wait.
You had to go to
You had to
Gary's
wait.
house.
You had
Hey.
to wait for the call. You had to listen
Yeah.
to your answering machine.
Yeah, was Monica with Debbie? Where
Yeah.
are those guys going?
That's what I like about going through the 90s movies and TV show rabbit hole of like the actual human experience of being a human and like all that entails
Yeah.
of like dating or working or just functioning. You had to have patience. You had a different level of like nothing was at a click of a button. You had to go
Yeah.
get it.
It's a different
know?
world. But is it better? That's the question. Isn't it better to have all the answers at your fingertips? Isn't it? It's just different. I don't necessarily think it's bad. My real concern is that we might be the last of the Mohicans. Like 100%. I think we're the last of the real human beings. I think we're destined to be cyborgs. And I don't
hope not.
think it's that far off. I think it's we're going to be lured into it with the idea that it's going to fix diseases and ailments.
We're already cyborgs. We're already
Sure.
our consciousness has been altered. Our mental functioning is we're already on machine time. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either, but I think it's just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. All that stuff that you just cited, like people being addicted to Snapchat and stuff, that's all real. It's like that's a thing. You're connected to that device. You keep it charged. You keep getting new ones. Better devices mean better connection.
I feel like our greatest purpose now is to reconnect with our own humanity.
Yeah.
Like be with your family.
You know what I feel like about that? I feel like it's like holding hands at the side of the ocean while the asteroid comes to hit. I don't think it's going to do a goddamn thing. All those like grounding,
God damn it.
survival
Thought we were
craft.
going to a beautiful place.
No, I think we're going to.
Well, I'll be
we're
staring
going,
into Nick's eyes if that's the case.
You will. Yeah. You'll do it together. You both turn your fucking switches on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're all going to go into a world of accelerated evolution. That's what I think we're going into a world of. And I think we're going into a world of technologically accelerated evolution.
What does Elon say about this stuff? I'm sure you've asked him this.
Yep. He's this Neuralink that they're developing. One of the quotes he said, you'll be able to talk without words.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. They're first going to do it with people that have that are paralyzed and people who don't have access to their limbs or access to the function of their limbs. They're going to be able to reignite these. The idea is to have it function almost like a central nervous system, to like recharge these areas that were damaged in like spinal injuries and stuff like that. I don't know how the fuck they think they're going to do that. Do you have an understanding of how they think that Neuralink would work with disabled people? Because that was like one of the possibilities that they said.
They've got other. It's not. They're not the only company that can do that right now.
How many companies are doing that?
Well,
now?
I don't know. I wouldn't call
or
them
working on
companies,
stuff.
but, like government agencies or whatever. There's at least 2 or 3 different versions of it I've seen. I don't know how well they've done it with like one person who's absolutely paraplegic, like got fucked up in a war or something like that, and they've got them to like sort of walking with help. You know.
Well, I would imagine if you get paralyzed, it probably takes a long time to develop your ability to walk again after that. Even if they can fix the connections to your legs, they haven't been firing and. But if they can actually do that and get someone to walk again at all, that's insane.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that.
I'm down for that, but the
Yeah,
whole
I think that's the way they're going to lure you in, though. I really do. But I do remember something about Neuralink doing or having that hopeful potential someday to help people with injuries. But I think that what they're describing,
This is the one I knew
a
of.
brain implant restored this man's motion and sense of touch. There it is.
Columbus, Ohio. How about
Holla,
that?
Columbus.
OH.
He had a small computer chip in his brain,
They
but it's
used it to improve the range of motion in his arms and to artificially recreate a sense of touch. Whoa.
I believe he's connected to like a giant computer too. Like it's not just wireless connection at this point.
So is it a chip that's in his brain, and then the chip is connected to a cable, so he's in the Matrix?
Let me see if I can find it.
So that's one of the things that they think that these neural implants may be able to do, is to improve people with injuries. So ultimately, if that's the case, that obviously will be very good for people with injuries. The real question is, if people start using any kind of a neural implant and interface it with technology that allows you to access information, has a greater bandwidth for thinking, and who knows what kind of programs will be on it that you can run that can give you logical answers to dilemmas. Like, who knows what the fuck this is going to be like.
The thing is, like, everything swings so wildly in this polarized way. Like, it'd be so awesome if we could just stick with that.
Right.
Like, and still be people that talk to each other.
I just
like...
don't know if that's an option. I have a feeling that's not going to be an option. I have a feeling that once people adopt that technology, whatever comes with it, and we're going to be on a fucking roller coaster ride off the side of a cliff. I think we're going to be cyborgs, and it's going to happen really quick.
Even on the website for this Neurolife thing, it says players can immerse themselves in video games soon. This is like applications for what this can already do. Whether or not
and which one is this?
This is that Neurolife one I just showed you.
But that's not. They're not talking about an implant, are they?
No. Yeah. Like I'll show you.
They are?
On this video, it shows the implant in the back of his head.
So using that implant.
I think it has to do with that sleeve he has on his arm too.
Okay, so go back to that other page so we could read the description of what it's supposed to be doing.
I don't know if it had that full explanation.
Well, it had that, whatever that explanation was under it was Neuralink. Okay, wearable sleeve showcases our unique background in developing life-enhancing products. For the first time ever, this technology allows us to measure the nerves and muscles of the forearm with high resolution and in real time. The result is targeted simulation interventions that recreate... Stimulation interventions that recreate complex, dexterous hand movements. What?
That's... incredible.
So as you move your hands, it will show an actual hand because you're moving the muscles that are specific to moving parts of your hand?
Is that like a phantom limb thing, but just...
So what is that? Recreating his movement of his hand? Is this a person that has a paralyzed hand? Is that what that's supposed to be?
I believe so, yeah.
Whoa.
Right, when he was getting...
Whoa.
See, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's
right there, I believe that. You can see.
Oh, wow, he's got a chip in his skull. Yo.
And this actually does look like it is wireless. He's not disconnected to a chip.
What are you going to do?
You're going to get a chip.
No, I'm not.
We're all getting chips.
No, I'm not getting
We're all
one.
getting chips. It's going to be amazing. We're going to
Nope.
see through walls,
You
read each
stop
other's
that.
minds.
Ooh, can I fly?
Yeah, probably. Probably just like go on another planet in your brain. I think that's probably what happens to life. I think what we're doing right now is we're like making a cocoon. And then out of that cocoon, a butterfly is going to come out of it. And that butterfly is going to be a new
You
want
to be a robot?
Not necessarily.
What do you want to be?
Look, I love all the imperfect
it's not like what do you
parts
want to
about
be when
being
you grow
people.
up. It's what do you want to be?
What do you want to be? Want to be a robot?
What do you want to be when you scientifically evolve?
Oh God, I don't. If I am, I am. I'm not thinking about it.
I want to be an eagle.
Ooh, that's what you like. If like they could tell you could be whatever animal you want.
Right.
Imagine if animals had people
Well, again,
brains.
Greek mythology.
Yeah.
All the gods would be animals. Like Zeus would be a bull.
Do
Like
you know how fucked we would be if animals were as smart as us?
they're pretty fucking smart.
Are they though?
Intuitively and emotionally.
No, they have
They've got
amazing
an edge.
senses. They have amazing
Sure.
senses. But as far as smart, no, we can plan shit. They can't plan shit. They just go on instinct for the most part. But if like deer could plan shit,
Wait, I've heard that.
if there was like suicidal deer, they're like
Wasn't there like a real thing about raccoons taking over the world or something, or spiders or something like?
oh spiders.
Like if they integrated their instincts intellectually, like they'd be like taken over in like a week and a half or something.
You know what would accelerate people's acceptance of climate change?
Oh God.
If global warming was making spiders bigger. The spiders just started getting real. It turns out there's a switch, whatever
They're
the number
already
is.
pretty fucking big.
If the world gets like above 1 degree temperature, spiders grow by 400%.
Really?
So every spider just
Is that a
keeps.
joke?
No, I'm
You're
just
making
making it up
this
right
up.
now. But imagine if this is happening with every degree. So, but accelerate. So 400%
I want
of
out.
400%.
I want out.
You get all of a sudden you got a fucking Labrador-sized spider fucking up your grandmother. You come home, your grandma's wrapped in a
that
cocoon in the
Stephen
middle
King?
of the
The
living
Mist?
room.
Have you seen The Mist?
I did see The Mist.
Oh
That
God,
was good.
it was so dark at the end.
Very dark.
Holy
the end
shit.
is hard.
It's hard.
The
It's
end's
very,
hard.
very difficult.
But they were faithful to the book, I think. I think that's why it was so hard.
Well, that's what they had. They had these like
Yeah.
life size, but
Stephen King,
insects.
when he was fucked up on the hooch and doing blow, he made some of the greatest fucking books of all time. Anybody, you can't tell me any different. I guarantee you, the hooch
Do you like scary
and the
stuff?
blow. Yeah.
Oh my God, really? You like horror films and stuff? Yeah. I do not.
No?
No.
Why not?
Well, I scare easily. I get startled very easily. Like if like I didn't hear somebody come into the room kind of thing. Yeah. Also, life is scary enough.
It is scary
And
enough.
and like to this, you know what I really have an aversion to is like the religious scary stuff, like the satanic, deep evil. Like
That's
when I was a
growing up
kid,
Catholic.
when I saw The Omen as a child,
no.
I pulled my twin mattress into my parents' room and I slept there until they finally kicked me out. But I mean, I was almost irrevocably altered at the thought of being taken over and possessed against my will. Like I didn't invite this in, but
Yeah.
it's like a fungus.
And it was a
you know?
possibility.
Just the thought of it is fucking terrifying.
Well, people talked about it like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
watching a YouTube video once of a guy who's performed exorcists. Was a priest who was talking about different exorcists that he performed.
There's really interesting. I mean, you want to get weird, you want to get psychedelic. Like this stuff is like, I think there is personally, there are some doors not to be knocked on or opened, and spiritually
like
or
the beginning of a good
energetically, energy is powerful. I think human beings are powerful. Our consciousness, whatever is beyond that, and you just don't know. And I have just a real inherent instinct and aversion to the other in that way. It scares me. And I've done enough psychedelics to have some things that I was learning about within myself and externally. And, that could sound crazy or like hooey, but I don't know. I don't like to mess with that stuff. It scares me.
Well, if it's real, one of the best ways, if you were the devil, you would make it preposterous that you would be real, while at the same time people worship God. Because if you believe in God, you have to believe in the devil, right? It's part of a package deal. But listen, so if the president is on television and says, God bless our troops, everybody's like, all right. But if the president gets on TV and says, we've located the devil, he's in Sudan, we're sending troops there immediately, like, what? The fucking actual devil? No, bitch. This guy's out of his fucking mind. You can say, God bless us all. May God be with you. You can say, I am a God-fearing man and I believe in God. I think God has a message for us all. You can say all those things.
Sure.
But if you say, I know where the devil is and we're going to go kill him, like that's it? You believe in the devil, you fucking idiot? You believe in the actual devil. There's an actual devil. But wouldn't that be the best way for the devil to hide? Wouldn't, if the devil's real, if Satan is real, and if there really are demons, wouldn't the best way to just hide in plain sight and ridicule?
Absolutely.
Imagine if all of the evil of the world,
I don't think we need to imagine it. I mean, I think
creepy shit that's infecting Putin's brain right now, and all these dictators and all the people that are having people murdered and assassinated, attacking, and imagine if that's
it
all
takes
just
a specific kind of being/vessel. Like you kind of I don't know.
Maybe demons are just thoughts.
But also sociopaths. Like,
yeah, there's that too.
Scientifically, there's a real mental deficiency of. I mean, there's no empathy. There's no.
Yeah, that's real.
There's real ones. Yeah, which is very frightening. But let's stay in the light.
That is frightening. And that's a function of what? Is it a function of genetics? Is it a function of raising the child? Is it a combination of all those things?
Nature, nurture, and other things.
And other things. And just like, is it just a function sometimes of you just didn't get wired correctly? Like, how many people do you know that are just not wired right?
A good deal. A good deal.
Bunch.
A good deal.
A bunch. especially artists. Like some artists are just not wired right.
So Nick is a big comic book maven, like knows probably every major Marvel, you name it. And he introduced me to this comic called Prometheus by Alan Moore. And basically it's almost like an entire dissertation on magic and like Aleister Crowley and the Cabal. Ooh. And one, I've really enjoyed it. Two, there's a lot of relevance to its, I mean, like basically the Cabal, is like the tree of life. And from the lower sphere, which is like us, and then moving up through this thing to the Godhead, which is like the pinprick of our existence and soul, if you want to look at it like that. And I've just been, one, enamored and fascinated by it, by this just literature and literal ancient texts, like the Cabal and Solomonic magic is like been around for a long time. And there's something that like gets the hair on the back of my neck, like just standing up with like, holy shit, like what am I reading right now? And, I don't know. I like to lead by my instinct and my own understanding of the world. And so this stuff it kind of speaks to that in a way that I can't like in detail get into it, but it's, like we're talking about science, we're talking about cyborgs, we're talking about other dimensional aspects to our existence. And that's like magic to me.
There might be something to it. There might be something to just getting people to believe it. Maybe that's almost enough.
Yeah, but I'm really interested in ancient text and just the like recycling and recirculation of that stuff of like, well, why does that keep coming up? And I can understand how this feels like that and this feels like that. And in our present day experience, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about what I've read and what I've experienced. And
it is creepy when you think about old stuff and the devil. That's the creepiest. That's why The Exorcist is so creepy, right? They found that old talisman.
Can't do it. I stay away from it. I have an aversion to it. I don't want it.
There's something about like ancient stuff and the devil. That's the scariest stuff. Like they found an old scroll, and if you read it out loud.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the Bible, like, has so many other versions of itself. Like you have the King James version, and then you have all these other things, and like I don't want to read Revelations. I'm too scared.
The Old Testament's the most fascinating to me.
Have you read it?
The problem with the New Testament is, from what I understand, it was created and curated by Constantine and a bunch of bishops. They literally decided what to put in the New Testament and what to not put in. Mm-hmm. When you get to the Old Testament is the wildest shit because it shows how petty people were over things. Like one of them, there's a story about how a guy who's bald.
No tolerance.
This is a guy who's bald, and some kids called him a bald head, and so a bear comes out of the woods and kills all the kids because the guy was bald.
What's the lesson?
The lesson is don't be mean to bald guys. It's the dumbest lesson ever. It's like this fucking guy these kids murdered. He had them murdered because they called him a bald head. And like this was like God's version of like righteousness. Like there's some wild shit in the Old Testament.
Right.
What is that story? What is that exact story about the dude?
I was just looking it up. This article here says it's a misunderstood tale, and it's actually about war. I was trying to get into this, but you asked too quick before I could find out.
Oh, well, it's about a fucking bear eating kids, though. Like, whatever his interpretation of what the ultimate meaning was supposed to be, as thought down over thousands of years of text and an oral tradition that spans 1,000 years after that, or before that. What is the actual verse? What is it about? So it's some boys... they tease him.
Right there.
Okay. Some boys tease him. So it says, he went up from Bethel, and while he was going up on the way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him, saying, "Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head." So that was enough. And God was like, I've heard enough. I will now send in bears. So then God sent in a fucking she-bear, I think he said. He called it a she-bear. So what does it say? What happens where the bear comes in?
Well, this is all talking about how it's wrong. So
Okay, let's find what the.
It kinda sounds
let's
like what's
find what the
going on now.
translation is first, and then we'll go and refute it. I just want to see what the actual translation was.
here's the text is up on the first paragraph. I
Okay.
think.
Came out in town, cheered him. Go up, you bald head. They said, go on up, you bald head. He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. Lord is in all caps. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the youths. It seems unbelievable that God would cause 2 bears to maul a group of children for making fun of a man for being bald.
Who wrote this?
This one also just refutes it too.
But if that is that the translation?
That's where I was even gonna say the bald head translation right away goes, well, what word did they use back then, and how did it get translated to English as saying bald head?
But even if he said fuckhead,
Well-
even called him a fuckhead, they had the kids killed by
Did they have
bears.
fuck back then? Was that a word?
Maybe it's bald. Maybe bald was
Even
fuck.
going into
But
Latin.
like, they even called him cunthead. If that's literally God's reaction is to have a bear kill 42 kids, I don't know how you could spin that. This sounds like they're trying to spin it.
That's where I was gonna go. The
Well-
word for bald might not have been the thing that they used, and then someone got stuck on bald, because they wanted to
This is
have
amazing.
Perhaps, yeah.
story that
Yeah, perhaps. But I mean, no matter what the name would be that he would call him, cunt head, there's not a chance in hell that a righteous God would send a bear to kill those kids. So that's if that's the actual translation, that a bear came and killed the children, which I've always understood it to be. Kurt Metzger explained to me what that's saying, go on up, you bald head, that it's more harsh. It's like we think of it as like, it's like going up your asshole or something like that. It's like, it's mean.
Okay.
Like it's not, it seems like, get out of here, bald head.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like so
You
pedestrian.
scallywag. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably has a
Okay.
harsher connotation to it.
Okay.
But either way, God decides to have a bear come and kill the kids. What the fuck? So those stories are the most fascinating to me, because like how petty people were, how light, and it was obvious like there was like human like feelings of the world divorced from God's. If there is a pure loving God, and that God gave us a message, like the people fucked that message up. Like by
Sure,
the time
absolutely.
they translated it down,
Yeah.
there's a lot of human
Yeah.
jizz all over
Yeah.
it. A lot of human
that's what
junk
this
in it.
whole like Promethea thing explains in a really beautiful way. Have you ever read the Apocrypha?
No.
Those are the books that were taken out of the Bible. I haven't read them either, but I know a little bit about them. No. And it's kind of like I kind of look at some of that as political and a sign of the times. You were sort of trying to steer people a certain way. I don't know, but
Well, to me, the most interesting version is the Dead Sea Scrolls.
sure.
Did you ever read any of that stuff, like the John Marco Allegro stuff? John Marco Allegro was a scholar who was also he was an agnostic. He was agnostic, but he was an ordained minister. So he became an ordained minister, and then he started studying theology, and eventually became agnostic. But he was a language expert, and so he was hired to decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls. So they did it for 14 years. He deciphered these things. They're putting together these. They had to use DNA because they had to make sure that the cow, the fragments were from the same cow, which would indicate that it was the same piece of skin.
Okay.
Because it's literally on animal skins. They
Right,
found
right,
them in
right.
these ceramic vessels in Qumran, hidden in the side of a mountain. Wild shit. So they take these down. They realize this is the oldest version of the Bible by far. And I think it's in Aramaic. It's one of the only ones in Aramaic. And at the end of this translation, over 14 years, John Marco Allegro writes a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And he says the entire religion was a misunderstanding. And what it was originally about was psychedelic mushrooms and fertility rituals. And that's what created this religion. These people were taking mushrooms, and they were experiencing God, and they were having fertility rituals because they were trying to be as bountiful and have as many babies as possible. And that's what the Bible was originally all about. Now, by the way, it's heavily disputed. A lot of people don't agree with him. A lot of people think it's blasphemy and it's this and it's that. But the fact remains that this guy was a legit scholar, rock solid credentials, not a drug addict, not a guy who even did psychedelics. But it was his interpretation after all this time that a lot of the things in the story had meanings that would go back to psychedelic mushrooms. And one of them was the word Christ. He said you could trace the word Christ back to an ancient Sumerian word that meant a mushroom covered in God's semen.
What?
They thought that when it rained, it was the Lord putting semen on the earth, and that's why things would grow from the rain. And one of the things that would grow was these mushrooms, like overnight. So overnight, they'd find these psilocybin mushrooms and these Amanita muscaria mushrooms, like on cow shit, and they'd pick them up and they'd eat them and they'd trip balls. And so they wanted to protect that and hide that from intruders, and they hid it in stories and allegories. And this was his assertion.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, first of all, that's amazing.
Wild,
it's
right?
Wild, yeah. But like this, like, when do we have the opportunity to record something? Like, this is all handmade. These are stories. These are stories after story and allegory, and like, it's really. I mean, it's amazing how we can marry ourselves to these ideas and concepts, and I have mine. I really do, that are real for me in thought and spirit and intention. But like, I mean, people have decimated other countries over these allegories and these stories.
Sure,
you know? Like
they've crushed nations, killed innocents, and we're probably doing it right now.
It's amazing how the scales have tipped between, like, you know, your ideologies that become religions and the way that we attack and defend, and like, I don't know what to do out there. You know, but the stuff we're talking about, and even in just like as an idea, is fascinating, and I love to explore it. Like, why not explore the idea of Christ being a mushroom?
It might really be. Because if you think about like some of the teachings of Christ, they really like align with like psychedelic mindset, that treating each other like we're all the same.
Yeah,
that we're all one.
No, I felt that oneness before. That feeling, that thing, that God place, like 100%.
100%.
And I have my interpretation of it, and so does so many people.
Yeah. So many people do.
It's kind of like, do you want to write a book about it called The Secret, or do you want to
just live your life? Yeah. Live your life the right way. Yeah, and
just be cool, man.
Yeah, try to be cool, man.
Cool.
Jesus, just be cool.
So good.
Yeah. But it's like that's what we're all doing, right? We're all just trying to figure out how to live life better. And when something comes along that seems to be like a method that other people are using, whether it's a religion or whether it's being a Democrat, whatever it is that like gets you thinking that you're on the right side of things and you're with a good community and you support, you get into it. We have problems in adopting patterns of thinking and behavior and being tribal. And fucking being against other people that we determined to be of a differing ideology. Mm-hmm. And we would justify like horrible behavior in the name of doing that.
I don't know if that's our fault necessarily. Like, I think the influence of technology or other machines that we don't really know about yet, like that pit us against each other. We used to be able to coexist with different ideas and religions and opinions, but now it's like it is so polarized, and it's like life or death.
There is a lot of polarization, and you're right. There are a lot of foreign factors. Like, there's a lot of governments that are dedicated to fucking with people online and getting people to fight with each other. That's real. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is 100% real thing that seems like it shouldn't be real. It seems like espionage, cyber espionage, like some kind of crazy like diversion of the attention of people. But it's real. They really are doing it. And whether it has a 1% effect on people or a 10% effect on people, whatever the effect, it has an effect. And you got to be aware of it. But I think that's one of those things that we're going to work through. We're gonna have to be more sophisticated about what we absorb, and ultimately it's gonna be like a cyber winter, We're gonna have to go through a cyber winter, develop some thick skin, and maybe that's
Get
what
the right boots.
kids are going through. They're going through cyber winter. Like, I wouldn't want them to go through winter. I never went through winter. My poor children have to shovel snow. But maybe that's what they have to do. They have to shovel cyber snow.
All-wheel drive.
Yeah,
upstairs.
all-wheel drive with your mind. Free yourself from it. And maybe it's our job as people that have lived in both realms. You know, you and I both grew up with no internet, and then all of a sudden there was the internet when we became adults. And we kind of grew up with it along the way. It absorbs and becomes a part of your life. But we know both worlds. They're not going to know both worlds.
Yeah, I feel
they
fortunate
will never
to have
understand. They will never understand our version of the world, just like we'll never understand the people that came over on a fucking horse-pulled buggy, a wagon with your family, your babies on a wagon, and there's a dusty road, and there's like 7 or 8 other people like you ahead of you.
And like 20 things that are going to kill you in the next day.
And then you see Indians. And you're like, well, we're going to be one of those stories. We're not going to make it.
I love Deadwood. What a show.
The American West, like, think about how fascinated people were with like the settling of the American West, and that's only like a couple of 100 years. It's not a long time in human history, but it's so iconic in
my
our
God.
understanding of what happened to America. You know what the best interpretation of it, I think, is?
What?
The Clint Eastwood movie. What is that movie? Clint Eastwood, the one who was the older guy, and he came back. Do you remember, Jamie?
I know which one you're talking about.
Yes. God damn it.
I can't remember
I'm
what it's
so
called.
sorry I can't remember it right now.
No,
It's on the tip of my tongue. Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood.
I know. What you're
God
talking
damn it. People are screaming at their phones right now. I'm so sorry.
Unforgiven?
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought it was like a harder one.
No, I just couldn't get it. It just wasn't there for me. I didn't take Alpha Brain today. There it
Sicario.
is.
Just kidding.
That's a reverse commercial. I didn't take Alpha Brain. Now I'm stupid. But that movie was like the end. It was such a good. It was almost like he was wrapping up a story. Like he had to do these movies when he was younger, and he had a version of the West that
Sure.
was very cartoonish in a way, and maybe even missing some beats of reality. They were 1970s movies, right? And then he made a real one. And in this one's harsh. This one's harsh, and this one
Yeah.
gets you a feeling like what it really would be like to live back then.
Oh my God! Think about what it smelled like.
Oh.
Like all these brothels and
How about
disgusting
people's
people.
breath?
Yeah. Oh my
Everyone's
God!
teeth
Their
are rotting
breath.
out of their fucking heads.
Let alone like going to a whorehouse. Everyone had to be disgusting.
Everyone's dying of syphilis.
Oh my God!
Ugh.
No, it's really.
You know, they say that's what happened. Europeans came over to America and got syphilis and brought it back to Europe. Yeah. That's like during the 1400s when all those dudes were wearing the wigs because they had holes in their heads because of
Merkin.
syphilis. Yeah, well, that's over the vajaj.
I know.
They had one of those too. But those people
Vajaj.
got it. They got it from here. Apparently, that's the theory. The theory
That
is
was
they
their
brought it,
super bug, Joe.
Yeah, they brought it over to them. That's the scariest thing. You think about like 90% of the people in this whole continent were killed by disease over a small period of time.
Well, I think that's where this like survival of the fittest came in. Like you had to fight to live, and you were in a covered wagon trying to have a better life than wherever you were coming from.
And you probably didn't know what kind of dangers lay ahead.
Fuck no.
They didn't really tell you that well.
No. I mean, like, imagine all the animals that were omnipresent all over this country that aren't like you don't have bears in California. Well, you still do, but
Yeah, if one of your horses gets taken out in the middle of the night by a wolf.
Wolves,
Oof.
tigers, or cougars rather, not tigers.
Oh. Jaguars. They had
Were there
jaguars.
jaguars? Oh my God.
There's jaguars still in America. They show up in Arizona.
Oh yeah, no. There
Very
were
rarely.
tons of cougars. Or cougars and jaguars the same thing? Or they're very
No.
are they different?
Jaguar is a South American animal, and
Right,
it's a
right.
really big cat.
Right.
Jaguars are
Bigger than a cougar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
Are they in Florida?
jaguars. I don't think they have them. I think Florida has a puma, and it's a mountain lion basically. It's a
Okay.
mountain lion that lives in Florida, and they unfortunately a lot of them get hit on the highways.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've
Have
seen
you?
dead ones. Yeah, I've seen
Really?
dead ones. Yeah.
In Florida?
No, Montana. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
one was in Montana. I've seen 2, but like, I mean,
Yeah.
you could see it. It was clearly a big cat,
Yeah.
but
I've seen them in the wild on 3 occasions.
Ooh.
2 occasions, it was very briefly, and they were both pretty small. One of them was in the woods in Colorado. One of them was on the street in Montecito.
no shit.
Yeah, I saw this thing, and I thought it was a coyote for a second, and I saw the tail. I was like, oh, shit, that's a cat.
Wow.
It was a big cat. Not a big cat, like 60 pounds, something like
Yeah.
that. And then I saw one in Utah a year ago that was about 180,
Oh, my
190.
God.
It was huge.
Ooh.
It was big.
Were you far away?
Yeah, I was 30 yards away and I was inside of a truck. So, but
Good.
it was chilling. I was looking through the glasses at it. I had put up binoculars, so I was like looking. It was only 30 yards away, and I'm like right on top of it with the binos. They're really good binoculars, and it is huge. It has this giant pumpkin head because it's got all these muscles on the side of its head for crushing things. I mean, this is a big tom. And it has enormous paws and forearms. That's what I noticed. Like the forearms were enormous. They're these big, thick, like rope-like things that take out elk. And it's just sitting there like that underneath this tree looking at us. We were like, holy shit.
So when you're hunting, I mean, you're susceptible.
Oh,
to,
yeah.
So what do you like? Are you? I mean, obviously you hunt with other people.
Yeah, generally I use at least, I'm going with at least one guy.
Okay.
Most of the time it's one guy and me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That sounds like you should get more guys. You should be with at least 4.
Nope. You make too
You're
much
a dad.
noise. You make too much noise. You can't get too much smell and too much movement and too much noise. You want to do it with the minimum amount of people possible.
So too much smell. So do you like? Are you aware of like what you like,
Doesn't matter what-
wash with
it
that
doesn't- it
day
won't
and
work.
stuff? Are you trying to? No.
Won't work. Their noses are too good. It's so insane, their sense of smell. It's all about finding where the wind is going. So what you do is you carry this little wind checker with you. So it's like a white powder, like talcum powder, and you puff it in the air, and it shows you which way the wind is blowing.
Okay.
And so if the wind is blowing that way, we're going that way, because that way the wind is in our face, and the animals aren't going to get our scent. Their scent's going to come towards us, but they're not getting our scent. But if they do get your scent, you're fucked.
Right.
From hundreds of yards away.
Right.
Hundreds of yards away, they pop up, and one of them will bark like, woo! And then they fucking take off.
Wow.
They make noises, they woof. Different animals do different things.
Have you had any like scary run-ins with things?
I
before?
haven't had any scary run-ins with things other than in Alberta, I did see a grizzly bear. And that was a very different, and it wasn't a big one either. It was like a 6-foot bear, which is not big for grizzly bears. But it was the way it looked at me was so much different than anything that I've ever seen in the wild. It looks at you like this. Like black bears, I've seen black bears in the wild, and they look at you like this. Like, what are you? Are you gonna eat me? Are you food, or am I gonna eat you? Or are you gonna eat me?
Right.
They're a little nervous. Grizzly bears don't look at you like that. They look at you like this. Like right at you. Am I gonna eat you? He was trying to think if she'd eat me. And we had shotguns, and so
Do you have a handgun too?
not at the time.
I feel like you should bring a handgun.
Probably a good move when you're
Bring a
around
shotgun and a
bears.
handgun, just
Probably
'cause
a good
you're my
move.
friend and I
Probably
love
bring
you.
armor and shit. Probably should not be there.
This is more
But-
me worrying about you.
But just looking at them eye to eye and thinking this is a thing that's taking out
Yeah.
moose.
Yeah.
This thing's out, eating moose calves and shit. And,
Yeah.
And cannibalizing other bears too. They eat each other a lot.
I like to fall asleep to like Planet Earth, stuff
Oh.
like that if I'm anxious, but I have to avoid the hardcore parts, where basically bears and like tigers, because it just it's too intense, and
It's
like I'm
intense.
trying to relax, but then my heart rate goes up. But
You know what might be more intense?
what?
But we're just not looking at it at scale, is praying mantises. They might be the most evil motherfuckers on earth. I went down a praying mantis rabbit hole this morning.
Did you see one?
No, I was watching a fucking Instagram reel, and it had this praying mantis
Those
that
ladies,
was
they're ruthless.
destroying like a caterpillar, just holding it and just eats the whole thing. I mean, it's almost as big as it,
Yeah.
and it consumes the whole thing.
Then she kills her lover.
Is that what they do?
Oh yeah,
Praying mantises do
yeah,
that? That's
yeah.
right.
They kill their mate. They
That
mate with
happens
them, and
a
then they
lot,
eat
right?
they eat them.
That's a black widow thing too, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a praying mantis thing.
I thought the black widow, that was like the whole thing.
Jamie.
She kills the dad. Like, fuck you, bitch. I'll raise my own kids.
No, I think they like go off and he's like, here's your baby. Bye. Take care of it.
Really? I don't know.
But no, praying mantis
Myth. When black widow spiders mate, the female always kills and eats the male. Fact. This myth, which is not totally false, but very far from true, is believed even by scientists and can be found in many ecology textbooks. Okay, but if it's not totally false, it's like, do you eat your husbands? I don't eat all my husbands. Sometimes
That's the same with praying mantis.
they do a good job and they're polite. I let them live.
But I've seen it. Like, I've seen them. Like, they mate, they kind of stick together, and then all of a sudden one of their heads is gone.
You know what's the most evil?
What?
Octopuses.
What?
Because female octopuses are larger than the males, and they'll have sex with the males until they decide they don't want to anymore, and then they often kill them and eat them.
That is unfortunate.
So the male might successfully breed with the female like 13 times in a row, and he's going back for lucky 14. She's like, not today, bitch. You worn out, you're welcome. And she kills him and she eats him.
Yeah. But
That's
he died
real.
doing what he loves.
Good point. Solid point. I mean, what a ruthless world that is. And you want to complain about pronouns?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm saying. This whole time.
You're not a plural.
That was one of my favorite Dave Chappelle's when he was talking about like, they're coming for you. And he's like, well, they or they? Like, he was trying to figure out which theys were coming for.
Did you know the black widow's venom liquefies its victim and it sucks it up?
That is.
Oh, my God.
That is terrifying.
Jesus Christ.
Because this article says that that's exactly what it does to its male, but I just read through the whole thing, and it's kind of like...
Feast on males after mating with them and liquefy their prey. What the fuck? If that's the case, that other person sounds like a Black Widow apologist.
Well, I read through the whole thing.
Didn't they? Very much so. Like, no, well, sometimes it's true.
You gotta say
but
something
let's
nice.
not focus on that. Let's focus
It's
on
not
how good
all
they
bad.
are.
It's not all bad. Let's look
How
at the
good
bright
they are
side.
at raising Black Widows. They're so successful. They've infiltrated the community. They're under all your pool mattresses.
Spiders apparently do it, not just black widows.
Oh, they all do it.
There's a lot of spiders
Oh,
that do that.
Jesus. That insect world, that's what I'm talking about. That is the motherfucker of worlds.
Yeah.
And that praying mantis is the motherfucker of the insect world. They just hold on to bees. They catch bees, and they're like, nah, bitch, I'm just going to eat you head first. They eat them asshole first. Like, they have bees.
It's ruthless out there. I don't know what to tell you.
Find a video of a praying mantis eating a wasp. They just kill wasps. And when they do them, they're like,
I've
you
known
ain't
people
shit.
that kept them as pets, which I thought
Praying
was...
mantises?
Yeah. Which
Look
I
at
thought was
that. Just
interesting.
eating a bee. Like, look at that. What the fuck, man? You almost feel sorry for the bee. They're like, the
It's
bee
time
is
for
closer.
lunch.
Aren't you on team bee right there? Because the bee is like furry. He's kind of like us.
I'm always on Team B. We need them. I love honey.
But look at this evil motherfucker. Just eat his head. Just grab that bee from behind like he's Hoist Gracie and eat his fucking head.
They look like
at their
aliens.
eyes.
I
They're
know.
so scary.
I know. Look at that AB between your light thing, whatever. Is that clock? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this guy.
Do you imagine if that thing was as big as an ostrich?
I mean, I guess I am now. And
You know how fucked we'd be?
yeah, all that stuff is super scary, otherworldly, aliens. It's just like these are all aliens just on a micro level.
It would be like A Quiet Place. Like that movie? A real life version of that movie. That's what that would be.
I'm not ready for it.
Praying mantises chasing
What is
us
that
down.
little jewel figuration on its forehead?
That's Thanos' jewel. If he gets all 5 of them, he grows the size of a giraffe and kills everybody.
So good.
They're 3 simple eyes.
It is.
His eyeballs up there. What are those things to the left and the right? Super eyes? Oh my God, he has compound eyes and simple eyes. He's a murderous predator. You ever see him kill hummingbirds?
No, I didn't know they did that. That's so sad.
You
That's
need to know.
awful.
Yeah, go to Praying Mantis Kills Hummingbird.
No, I don't want to see that. No,
it's
I love
wild.
them. No.
They stay around bird feeders. But we just need to know how ruthless these things are. Because you would think there's no way. They're not
Why do
big
we need
enough.
to know?
Watch this. Watch
No,
this.
no.
Look at it there. This is so crazy. So it's just sitting there. Bam. And the
Do
bird
they have
has no
sticky
idea.
feet? Do they have sticky feet? How
no,
does it
they
get
have talons. They
Jesus.
pierce the fucking body cavity of that thing with talons and then just drag it up towards it and
Oh,
slowly
God.
consume it. And they do it all the time. This is not like, I'll try eating that. No, they
I'm
eat. Look at
very-
it. He's just taking chunks out of the fucking hummingbird.
Why are you making me watch this?
Dude, they're fucking ruthless.
I don't want to see it.
Look
Is
at
he going to
this.
eat that little
He's gonna eat a
little
mouse.
mouse?
Watch this shit.
No.
They eat mice. Oh, hello, little mouse. I'm just a stick. Don't mind me. Bam, bitch. Look at that. That is a fucking super predator. Imagine something that can take out something that's quite a bit heavier than that.
Oh my God.
Because the mantis is way lighter than that fucking
Well,
mouse.
they're kind of reptilian in that way. Like a reptile can eat all these.
No,
it's
no,
going to
they
eat a
eat
snake.
reptiles.
No, but I'm saying like they eat things that are like 3 times as big as they are.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I guess, yeah, reptiles do that.
I'm a
But-
big
but
fan
I
of the
think they're
videos where
scarier. I
the
think
birds
they're
of prey are struggling with a snake and then they get away and they live. Because I love birds.
I think insects are scarier than reptiles and lizards. Insects are like the lowest form of evil.
This
They make
is
them look like flowers.
Yeah, they can color themselves to like they can look like anything.
no, that is absolutely
Look at that.
horrifying.
That thing is pure white, like the leaves
it looks
it's
like
sitting
a
on,
cockatoo.
and it's just destroying things. And look at that; it looks just like a flower. And then you go over and land, and it's like, oh, come on over. I'm ready. I'm your friend. And come on, right here. Here's a good spot for you to land. If you land, I'm just a flower. I'm definitely not a murderous, predatory, raptor-like insect.
Raptor.
Bam! Got you, bitch. He tried, didn't get him. That was a mistake. That's a lot of movement. So this thing is like picking up on movement and just trying to find the right time to explode.
They're fast too. Have you ever seen them like move?
When does it get it? It keeps trying.
they can run?
So this is interesting that it's not always successful. Oh, I got it there. So where'd he get it? Oh, right there.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
It's holding it like a baby that it's
They're
eating.
so ruthless. It's such a ruthless insect.
Oh my God.
And they're fascinating to see in the wild because you look at them and they really are different than all the other insects because they're a predator of insects. Like the predator of the ones that we're all scared of, like bees. And they're like, I'm scared.
Why are we scared? I'm not scared of bees. Are you scared of bees?
Because they'll kill you if none of them bite you at once. Don't you remember the killer bees? Everybody's worried about Africanized killer bees.
I'm not worried about them. I think they're okay. I like flowers.
Those are gnarly looking things. Is that real?
Whoa.
What the fuck?
What are those things?
I think they
Is
have
it a different kind of
costumes on.
mantis?
That's a mantis with a costume.
They're cosplaying mantises.
Looks like it, but it,
No, that's a real. That seems like some sort of a real bug. I don't think it's a mantis, but it's something.
it's a mantis channel.
Oh, it's a kind of mantis, maybe.
Man, it's got mantis
Appendages.
characteristics.
He's like,
Hey, Jamie's an insect doctor. Yeah, it's whatever it is. Yeah, we're lucky they're little. That's all I'm saying.
you're gonna be okay.
I am. Are you?
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah. I think we're all going to be fine. But I do think that we legitimately are going to become something different than we are now. Just like we are different than Little House on the Prairie, we are different.
Sure.
We're a different thing. We're a different thing. And with that thing that made us a different thing is just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
I guess we'll see.
We're going to see. I think we're going to be okay.
The devil is real.
But we're not.
It's the real devil.
That's the real devil? Look at those.
Devil mantis.
Devil mantis.
It looks very
Look
suggestive.
at that.
Is that? Oh, that's its. Okay, I thought that was its other side.
They're up in like a defensive pose, like they're trying to strike.
Dude,
No, they're.
I haven't seen that. Those are weird looking.
Just imagine if that's as big as a giraffe.
I'm good. You know, I've seen the movies. Yeah, we watched Predator recently. That was and you know Predator was passionate
Did you
about
see
their
the new
killing.
one?
Which one?
Prey,
I think so.
the Comanche girl.
No.
It's good.
Oh yeah.
You gotta
Okay.
settle into it. Suspension of disbelief, very important.
Again, Predator.
But fun.
One of those moments where Schwarzenegger's character was like about to smash his head with a rock, and then he's like, even though this thing killed all his friends, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna let you live. And then the thing tries to kill him again. Like, why not just smash him with the rock? Why give him that second chance? What's the point?
Plot line.
Boo.
Didn't like it?
I'm exhausted at that point. I want to see this thing dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You like the new one. The new one's cool.
Okay.
It's about the Comanches.
Okay.
The Comanches
Oh,
fight,
so
fight
it's like
the predator.
it's It's a period piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a girl Comanche
Oh, I
fights the
like
predator.
that. Cool.
It's good.
Yeah, bring it on.
I was like, come on, but it's pretty good. It's fun. It's fun. That's if aliens really are visiting us, that's the least of our concerns. They're hunting us.
Oh yeah.
I think we'd literally be with like
If
stepping
they were
on
hunting
worms.
us, we would probably be gone by now.
Yeah.
I think at this point they're just studying us and
I think for sure they're studying us.
figuring out what the hell is wrong with us.
I think for sure there is something from another world that observes us, and I think it makes sense. If there are a thing that are that advanced that's out there, why wouldn't they keep an eye on us? And if there is a thing, they would understand how fragile our fucking little psyches are. Why would they let themselves be known? I think there's a slow trickle of information as our technology expands and we be able to track things better and better radar systems, and they're getting more and more data, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think that's how we're supposed to figure. It's not like they're going to land on the White House lawn. Hello, we are here with wisdom. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think we're going to slowly become more and more aware of their existence because we're slowly going to have better and better systems that pick up things on
Sometimes
Earth and other places.
I'm not sure if there's a difference between like God or that idea. Like what's
Well, here's the thing. If that idea, if human beings create a cyborg, and that cyborg's infinitely more intelligent than a human, and the cyborg invents a better cyborg, and it keeps going until someone gets to a point where they control black holes, they can create new universes. That is a god.
Right.
Maybe that's what the creative force of the universe is going through us. Maybe the idea that you are God. It sounds so fucking
We just
crystals.
watched that 90s movie Event Horizon, which is that.
Oh, well, that was the horrible one. That
was
the one that,
very scary.
Yeah, that was a good scary
I did not-
sci-fi movie. That was a good
By
movie.
the end, I was like, I needed to go take a walk
Sam
in the sunshine.
Neill,
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Solid movie.
Yeah. No,
That's a good movie. That was like a wormhole movie. They went through a wormhole and satanic shit happened.
yeah. It was like the underside of the.
Yeah.
It was hell. It was hell.
But I think if human beings can do what we can do, being these weird primates and these weird talking animals that have figured out how to manipulate our environment and integrate with technology in a crazy way that no other animal's doing, it just seems to make sense to me that if you could stay alive for 1,000 years or 100,000 years, if human beings continue to evolve and stay alive, they will eventually assume the power of gods.
I think that's what they're trying to do. Like,
We already have the ability to kill everyone on the planet. If this stupid shit with Russia and Ukraine, if this goes down to the point where like nuclear weapons are exchanged between countries, there's enough nuclear weapons to kill
I don't
everybody.
think it's going to be them. I think it's going to be China.
Why would you think that?
A lot of reasons.
Yeah.
I have to pee so badly.
Okay. Should we wrap this up? We should wrap this up. We've done so many hours. We're obliterated. It was great to see you, my friend.
Oh,
Always.
so good to see you.
Tell people your social media, your Instagram.
I have actually this audio tree session coming out November 3rd, which is tomorrow. And that is a video recorded live performance that's streamable on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. But I'm Suzanto, SOOZANTO, on Instagram and Facebook and all that shit.
And if someone,
Twitter.
what's the best way for someone to get your music?
I mean, you want
Is
to
there a
buy it
platform?
from my website, but you can.
Is that
I'm
the
on
best way?
I'm on all the things.
Is that
yeah.
the best way? The website? And
Sure.
what's the website?
If you want it, SuzanneSanto.com.
And can they download digital from your website as well?
I think so.
You don't even know.
You can just stream it. That's my audio
There
tree.
you go.
Yay!
Hey. And so is everything listed on your website where people could find all the stuff you've done?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Thanks
Always
for
good
having
to see
me.
you.
This
My
was fun.
pleasure. It was really fun. It was really fun. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.